Okay guys, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to How to Start an Online Coaching Business. In tonight's webinar, we're going to cover quite a few things. I'm going to get started in about a minute, but as you're coming on, please feel free to say hi via the chat. You probably will not be able to speak through your phone to me because I've got us on mute because of the echo effect. A couple things before we get started. Number one, you're going to want to probably take notes during this webinar, and so if you have like a hardbound journal or just something that you can take notes with, fantastic. One of the really helpful ways to take notes is to actually have a separate page where you list your actions. You should see my screen at this point. This is a very rough representation of an action page, and just write down action at the top, or actions at the top of that page. And anytime you hear something tonight that you know you need to do, or it's a part of an action that you need to take, or you just come up with an idea based upon some other exchange or something that I mentioned, go ahead and write that down on your action list, because we can take a lot of notes. We can have a lot of ideas and kind of suck in a lot of information, but still not know what to do after all that, right? We might not have a direction after that. So the action list gives you direction. It's going to offer you a pretty straightforward list of things that you can follow through on immediately as soon as we're done with our webinar, if not actually during the webinar for that matter. The other piece here is that we're going to cover a lot of information, but we're also going to have some interaction here. I'm going to be answering all your questions. There were some questions that came through on the blog over the last couple weeks, and I'm going to be answering those, as well as any live questions that you share via chat as well. So as this happens, really important to realize that, you know, in a webinar like this, it's really easy to kind of sit back and just soak it in, like when you're watching a video or TV or something like that, whether it's live or not, and this is live. But the best way that you'll get the most from this experience in this webinar, and actually see results in your life, in your coaching business, in your coaching, in probably several other areas as well that this could apply to, or other businesses that you may have that this could apply to, is by being in a position of actively participating in this experience, and really just not kind of being an observer, but a participant, as in asking questions, sharing back. When I ask you a question, answer back. Now obviously, you know, I won't be able to hear you since you're on mute, but you can definitely type in the chat. I see we had a few that already typed in the chat, and feel free to say hi. Looks like Ruel said, hi, am I in? Yes, you are. So, you know, you don't have to click the claim my spot now button, because you must have already claimed your spot, or else you wouldn't be in here, chances are, unless somebody passed you the link somewhere. Cheryl, great to have you on. I see you're typing in the chat as well. Anybody else who wants to say hi, feel free to speak up now via your chat. But let's go ahead and just jump in. And if at any point you have trouble seeing my screen, and you should see it already, please let me know. Sometimes the technology is a little funny with these. Rensky, hey, it's great to see you again. And oh, wow, all the way from Amsterdam. I know it's late for you. It's already evening for us. So it's probably midnight for you, or later. So great to have you here. It's been a while since I've been to Amsterdam. I look forward to coming back soon. So okay, let's go ahead and just jump in now. So once again, we've just opened up the slides, so you should see my screen and my slides the first slide right in front of you. If you cannot see it, just type in the chat and let me know, and I'll probably just give up at that point. But it's always good to know somebody sees your stuff. So again, welcome to How to Start an Online Coaching Business. And tonight, or today, or whatever time it is for you, we're going to cover a couple things. Number one, we're going to talk about how to get clients without certification. This is a pretty important subject. If you're not certified, or if you are certified, go ahead and type in the chat and let me know, so I can see and I can get a sense of the range. But it's a question that we're going to answer And we're going to cover a couple other elements around what certification brings to the table for you as well. So whether or not you're certified, it's going to be a helpful conversation. Next, we're also going to talk about how to get your first paid clients fast and make it feel natural for you. As coaches, we value, many of us, not everybody, I don't want to necessarily speak for you, but most coaches that I've worked with thousands of coaches over the last 14 years. Most of the coaches that I know that I've worked with, having things be real, having things be authentic for you, and it be centered in who you really are is pretty important. And while maybe there's some salesperson out there, some business owner or some marketer that might be able to do something that's not really, fully honest, not really completely above board and transparent, or not really who they are, just so they can go make a buck or something like that. Usually coaches are not that person. And so it's important to have a natural process that kind of flows from who you really are as a coach, who you really are as a being that wants to make a difference for people in those first couple clients that you get. Because the experience that you have getting your first clients is really going to make a difference for, number one, motivating you, chances are, to move to the next clients and expand your vision and expand the coaching business that you're now starting. And second, it also gives you a sense of what's possible. So it not only impacts our beliefs about what we can do and what's possible for us, what we're capable of, but it also helps motivate us and get us excited about what's next, because it was a real and authentic experience for us. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And then finally, and I promised you guys that we cover these things, we're going to also talk about how to connect your passion and what you do best into a profitable niche, product line, and coaching service. Key word, profitable. There are a lot of coaches that, in fact, I'd say most of the coaches that come to me and start talking about their niche, number one, they don't know what a niche is. And number two, they also, when they start talking about certain niches, they're choosing niches that are either not real, they don't really exist, or they don't exist online, and they're going to be a real struggle for them to actually serve that niche and get customers from that niche, or those are niches that are just going to be not too profitable for them. And one of the best ways to really make it real hard to continue and expand a coaching business is to find a niche and find a business position or a focus for your coaching business that is not going to make you any money. You need to be able to make money doing this. It may not be like, you may not be in love with making the money, right? Chances are you're probably like me, which is you're more driven into starting a coaching business or expanding your coaching business because you care about people and you love to connect with them and you love to make a difference for them, and you want to know that your life here on earth mattered more than just that you enjoyed it, that you really made a difference for other people. But then beyond that, in order to do that, you got to be able to feed yourself. You got to be able to keep yourself, keep a roof over your head and take care of your family. And so you do need to be able to make money doing this, even if that's not like your ultimate passion. And if it is, that's great too. And we really need both types. Business owners that are in the coaching business, and then people that are just in love with the coaching side of it and are driven by really making a difference and being the best coaches in the world. And I work with some of those guys, and it's a pleasure to work with them. And their lives are just exciting, fulfilling, and there's always something new for them to learn. There's nothing boring about the people that you work with. There's nothing boring about, or nothing that gets old about changing a life for the better. It just never it never ceases to be amazing for anybody on my team and myself as well. That's included in that. So this is what we're going to cover tonight, and then a few other column bonuses. We're also going to talk about getting started. We're going to discuss the steps to get started, and actually I'm going to cover a little bit of detail as to how I got started in the coaching business as well, so you can get a sense of kind of where I came from. And the reality is probably strange to hear, but I think it'll be reassuring that really, it doesn't really matter where you are. You can become a coach fairly quickly and get started. We're going to talk about what that looked like for me, and also talk about the steps to doing that online and offline tonight. And then finally, I'm going to open up the line here to you maybe, depending on if you're looking for some coaching, and do what I might call a little coaching exhibition. Now, what do I mean by that? I just mean I'm going to give you a chance to observe a demonstration of real coaching. I don't know who I'm going to work with or what they're going to bring up. This is completely without a net. I can't predict it. That's kind of part of the fun for me, why I still love to do these webinars live. I could just play a replay of another webinar we did, but the reason I like to do these live is because I get to meet you live and in person, answer your question, and also do what I love the most, which is really coach and make a difference. And so you're going to have a chance to observe a live coaching with somebody that's going to step up and actually share something that they want some support with. And you'll get a sense of some of the coaching techniques, tools, strategies, and disciplines that we teach within our university and within the coaching certification training as well tonight. And then finally, we will actually discuss just a little bit of details on the upcoming coach certification training. We're going to talk about how it works and how we put it together, what's included, so you'll get a sense of actually if you were to go through certification with us, with Master Coach University, with JTS Advisors, what's included in that, and then also how to enroll in case you actually do want to get involved with us in the near term. So, I just forgot, and I'm glad I have my slides in front of me. At the end, I'm going to tell you how to get, number one, the slides, so these slides from this presentation, and number two, the full video recording of this webinar. I do see it looks like there are a couple that, I guess just one that couldn't get the audio. If you're trying to talk, I can't hear you because you're on mute automatically. But hopefully you can hear me. If anybody can't hear me, type in the chat, let me know. Just for the hearing impaired, I just put that in the chat. So Portia, I hope that you can hear me now. And Carissa and Rick, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Oh, good. Okay, so you got it handled. I don't know how the phone stuff works, so y'all who are typing in the phone codes, hopefully you figured it out. Okay, so just a quick introduction. I know for many of you that are on this webinar, you probably already know me, which is great. Welcome back. It's great to have you on another webinar or continuing to work with me in some of our live experiences here. This is me and my family. I live in Florida with my wife and daughter, and I've spent 14 years doing one thing, which is coaching. I have not had another job. I haven't done anything else for money. I have lived 100% on my own for 14 years, paying my bills, taking care of my family with the coaching as a career, coaching as a business. In fact, I've also helped to feed, house, and clothe many other coaches that have been on my team as well. I was going to do this earlier. We just didn't quite have the time to do it without driving myself crazy. But if I was to pull up all of the coaching sessions that my team has run over the past 6 months, it would probably be in the hundreds. And so they're making somewhere between $50 and $100 an hour running coaching sessions with people all around the country, all around North America especially, but also to some extent internationally as well, and getting paid to do it. So it's been an honor for me to share that opportunity with them, and not to mention make a difference for those that they're coaching, as well as the guys that I still have a chance to connect with, which I don't get to do quite as much one-on-one coaching anymore with our business where it is. But I've done this for 14 years. This is the list that you see right here on your slides. These are our clients. These are just some of our clients. Actually, it's like this is a quick thumbnail list that I pulled up in like 10 minutes of some of the larger companies that we've coached over the last decade or so. A lot of these we've coached recently, like Vitamix and Shell we're working with right now, Dole we're working with right now. I'm still working with clients from Cisco and a couple of these, a couple other companies that are listed here, and then the rest have been over the last decade as well. It's a very, very short list of our clients. We work with some of the really the largest companies in the world, my team and myself. And also, my coaching week is, I mean, I really only coach 1 day a week now, but if you look, you'll see the Tuesday that I do coach is like, you know, sometimes it's up to 14, 15 hours of coaching. So I still walk my talk. I'm not just like, you know, trying to take advantage of, you know, coaches as a niche or something like that. You know, I coach every single week still, or just about every single week, and I've done that for 14 years now. I do that less now than I did when I first started. I used to coach 4 or 5 days a week, working with somewhere between 70 and 90 clients. When I worked for Tony Robbins, that's how many clients we worked with. Some people actually worked with more. So I've toned it down quite a bit since then. But I'm no stranger to working with people one-on-one on the phone as a coach, and working with small and large groups, not to mention face-to-face coaching as well. So let's just get right to it. How to get clients without certification. So first of all, there's a challenge that I find in the world of coaching, which is that certification tends to be the first thing that a new coach thinks of when they think of ways that they're going to get started. And it's understandable, because you think, you know, in a profession like this where you have a responsibility to someone else, where you're supposed to make a difference and you should be able to claim truthfully that you have some skills, there should be some standardization, some certification, some accreditation around that. And there is a certain amount of that, although it really hasn't been in any way officially put forth in any state in the U.S. that I know of, at least at this point. But it's an understandable intention. And it's also an admirable thing to go ahead and get certified. The challenge I see is that a lot of training companies out there that I like to call certification factories take advantage of that mindset by basically, instead of really making sure that coaches have the skills that they need and that they're going to be able to start a business and get clients and do the whole thing other than just getting a certificate, they become a factory that pumps out certifications, that pumps out certificates. And it does a disservice to the coaches that actually go through that experience. You know, the real certifications that matter, I'm not talking about the ones that you know, that you can get just starting out. The certification, really the only certifications that would make any real difference to you in terms of actually getting clients, the general cost of those is somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 total. And that's not just what you spend on the trainings that you get. That's what you spend on having a certain type of mentor that is expected, and going through the accreditation process, and many other things as well. So it's $5,000 to $10,000, and there's a lot of times no clients that come from that as well. And this isn't true for every coach, but 9 out of 10 coaches will get no clients, 0 clients as a result of getting their certification. And a lot of times that's why a coach actually is getting their certification, because they think it's going to help them get clients. And it does it doesn't do the opposite of that. It just doesn't serve that purpose. And these processes, the ones that matter, take 1 year or more, usually much more, but I'm being conservative here. And then finally, thousands of paid coaching hours. Now, let me be clear about this. In order to get any certification that really matters in terms of bringing you clients, you must be able to log honestly and be able to prove that you've had thousands of hours of coaching clients that have paid you to coach them. So even before you expect to get a certification that matters, you still got to get a bunch of clients, and you still got to get paid by those clients, log those hours in order to actually receive a certification that matters. And again, all this other stuff that we just mentioned, the money, the time, and it really doesn't serve to help get any clients, in my experience. And I haven't met a coach that's actually gotten clients from a certification, unless they like work for the government and they're working internally to another, like they're an employee of the government or another large entity, organization, enterprise that expected them to get a certain type of certification. That's a different situation, and that's kind of besides the point that I'm making here. So a lot of challenges with just getting certification to try to get it to do anything for you. It doesn't actually usually deliver on the result you're after, and the certification factories take advantage of this myth, unfortunately, and they're kind of laughing all the way to the bank. Think of it this way. The common conversation is to get certified, you got to coach thousands of hours. So it's like, well, okay, I know I got to do a bunch of coaching in order to get certified, but part of the mindset is also, well, I shouldn't do any coaching until I get certified. So I have to, in order to get certified or any certification that matters, I got to coach thousands of hours, but I can't start doing that until I'm certified, until I get permission to coach, which then leads back to, well, I got to go get certified, I got to go figure out a way to coach thousands of hours, and this becomes an endless loop. It becomes an endless loop. So unfortunately, these individuals who get stuck in that loop, they're not coaching. They are not getting paid. They are not living their purpose ultimately. And ultimately, they're basically not coaches because they're not being who they really are as a coach, because being a coach means you're probably doing something too. You know, that's a reflection of who you are. So this is not what I'd like to see happen to you. If it already has, you know, we want to look at what to do differently next time. So the question that's kind of on the table here is, can you coach without being certified? Can you do it? And hopefully the answer would be yes. And the fact is, the answer is yes. You can be coached. You can coach without being certified. I'm living proof of that. Almost every coach that I've ever employed is living proof of that. And most of the coaches that we have taught until we certified them ourselves was at one time living proof of that as well. So that's just flat out the case. Now, why do coaches a lot of times want to get certified? Now, they talk about, well, certification is going to get them paying clients, but a lot of times they think that they're going to get paying clients out of two outcomes. The first one is confidence. They feel like, you know, I'm not confident that I know what I'm doing yet. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to deliver for my clients, and I really care about people. I don't want to just claim to be able to do something I can't do. So I want to have some confidence. I want to build up that confidence. And so they use certification as a way to build that confidence. So the bottom line is that you can possibly get some confidence from getting certified, but confidence really is a state of mind. Confidence is just a state of mind. So more often than not, I find that people that are waiting for their certificate or their certification so they can feel confident, they eventually, if they ever do get their certification, they get it, and they're still not confident because it was really the state of mind that made the difference in the first place. And you can alter that state of mind in a heartbeat if you know what you're doing, if you know how to use certain tools that we've been given, that God has given us or the universe has given us, in order to actually get into a confident state of mind. Hopefully as a coach you could do that. Especially, hopefully you can do that without someone else's permission, certification, or something like that. And over again I see people that aren't confident think that eventually they'll get confident once they get certified. They get certified and they're still not confident. And they've been kind of, again, going on that endless loop of chasing the rainbow that they can never find. Now, what about credibility? Credibility is another element that a lot of times coaches will think, you know, if I've got my certification, now I'm going to have credibility to my clients, to my customers. And the truth is that you could use a certification to build up your credibility. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But you can get credibility in a lot of ways. You could prove that you're credible just by producing results. You know, if people see the results and you can like demonstrate that you can produce results for somebody, seeing is believing, as they say, that's worth 20 certifications. Part of this is also a dynamic of what we call social proof. Whenever we're confused about what to believe, we usually look to other people around us, people that we trust, usually. But even if we don't have anybody that we really know that well around us, just anybody, any human being, that has an opinion will tend to follow the opinions that are around us, or the opinions that we are able to observe. So social proof can be built up within a coaching practice or a coaching business by way of testimonials, word of mouth, what you might call referrals, case studies, all sorts of different ways to show the proof that someone else, it's not just you saying, hey, I'm a great coach, I can help you, I can make a difference for your life, I can help you improve your relationships, I can help you improve your health, I can help you improve your finances in your business. It's like other people saying that is worth 10 of you saying that, and it's really worth 10 certifications as well, because we tend to listen to people that don't have like third parties that don't have a vested interest in your success, but they're still saying that you can help them. That makes a huge difference, and that's proof positive for many of us that we can go ahead and move forward and make a commitment to work with a coach or work with somebody that is claiming to be able to help us as well. In addition, authority. Now, there's different ways to build authority, and I'm not going to get into the details on that, but we tend to follow people of authority. We tend to respect and appreciate authority. We've been taught to do that. Some people, and I'm not saying you, but some people will tend to look at an authority figure like a doctor or a dentist or someone with an upper level degree, a lawyer, a politician even, although we don't necessarily give them as much authority as maybe we once did, but especially in the West. But people that are in positions of authority, we tend to believe relatively blindly. We put blind faith in them. A lot of people still, to this day, even with all the alternative health that's happening around the health world, and the news there and the internet being a great a wellspring of information, will go to a doctor and the doctor says, hey, you need to take this drug, you need to do this is what you've got, this is your problem, this is what'll fix it. The first reaction for most of us is to knee-jerk just believe what they say, because they are an authority. We've been taught, ever since we could read, ever since we understood language, to consult our doctor. Anytime you look at a advertisement on TV and it's advertising some drug or advertising some health claim or something like that, at the bottom of the screen it always says, talk to your doctor, consult your doctor. In fact, they usually say that auditorily now as well. So that's been drilled into us that a doctor is an authority figure. And there's many other ways to look at authority figures. But the bottom line is, in any world, in any niche, with any group of clients that you might be able to attract or might have an interest in getting help, they have their own ideas of who is an authority and what makes authority. And once you understand how they think of authority, you can start to work your advertising approach, your presentation to them, such that you can actually become an authority in their eyes. Now, does that mean that you really are an authority? Hopefully it does, right? You want to be honest about this. You don't want to just, lie about your authority, right? But, ultimately the people who become authorities are the ones that claim authority. And so more often than not, if you're going to be an authority in a niche or an area, in an industry, or with your clients, then one of the first steps, maybe not the first step, but one of the first steps is to step up and say, you know what, I'm going to become an authority in this marketplace. I'm going to become an authority in this area of expertise, in this area of transformation, in this area. And that could mean becoming an expert and educating yourself and building a certain amount of skills on your end as well. But as you're in the process of doing that, you might as well also learn how to present yourself as an authority to those individuals, because the earlier you do that, the earlier they're going to be willing to take you on as their coach. And then it's up to you, within your own ethics and morals, to decide whether or not you can help them. And if you can't help them, you definitely should be honest and say, look, I can't help you with the particular area that you want help with. You could refer them to somebody else or tell them to move in a different direction. But at least you have a chance. At least you have a chance to make a difference for them. So authority can make a huge difference in terms of credibility, and there's ways to build that. Free samples, you could think of this from a perspective of demonstration as well. It's kind of almost the same thing in the coaching world. But when you give a sample of your coaching or of your expertise or of something that would help somebody that you'd like to have become your client, and they actually have a chance to get results before they hire you from your coaching or a free session that you may give them, or an ebook that you offer them, or whatever it is, a webinar. Lo and behold, we're doing a webinar right now. It's a great example of a free sample, right? Chances are you didn't pay for this. If you did, I don't know where the money is, but it's a free sample. Many different ways to offer free samples. It's a great gift to your marketplace or to the people that you want to help. And not to mention, it's also a great way to build credibility as well, especially if you do a good job and it's a valuable free sample that does actually give them some results or a sense of results that they'll be getting from you in advance of actually signing up for coaching with you as well. This all really boils down to evidence. Whether it's result or demo or social proof or authority or samples, these are just different forms of what a detective would call evidence. Well, maybe not a detective, but your average human being would look at much of this as evidence. And maybe some of it doesn't really stand up to the test of real evidence, but to us as normal, regular old people, not the most critical people in the world, that these things are our forms of evidence that help us understand that someone else can help us in some particular area. So if you can find evidence that you made a difference for somebody, whether they paid you or not is irrelevant. The fact that you could help them in an area of their life and they can actually let people know that starts to become evidence. And that is, like I've said a couple times, it's worth 10 certifications, these types of things. And by the way, even if you have a certification, even if you're getting a certification, even if you plan to be certified with us, you need to be planning out how you're going to use some of these elements to build credibility in your niche. Because if you don't, that certificate is probably the weakest form of credibility that you can possibly offer your client. Let me give you another example of that, or kind of give you the bottom line, like my best explanation for why that's the case. Personally, I've worked with, maybe somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 clients. Many of them one-on-one, probably most of them one-on-one. Maybe more than that. I kind of stopped counting at around 2,500 or so, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. Personally, I have never been asked once, not once, in 14 years, Jeff, what are you certified in? Or are you certified as a coach? Or are you accredited? I've never been asked that, never, by someone who wanted to possibly get some help from me as their coach or from my team as their coaches. Just never been asked it. And we coach the largest organizations on the planet. We're not talking about just anybody in those organizations. We're talking about executives and managers and, pretty serious coaching projects that we're working on, corporate stuff, community stuff, as well as people across many walks of life, just about every walk of life you can imagine in Western society. I've never been asked for a certification once. So why is that the case? Is that because nobody ever asked for certifications? Actually, no, that's not true. Because I've talked to a lot of our students or people that or coaches that are just getting started and or considering becoming a student of our university or our certification trainings, and they say, I'm working with a couple, prospective clients, and they keep asking me, where's my certification and what makes me somebody who could coach them and what makes me credible and that kind of thing. And Jeff, what do? I guess I got to get that stuff. And it's natural to believe that, once again. But what I tell them every time is the reason why, almost always the reason why your prospective client is asking you that. It's not because that's what they're looking for. They don't care about your certification. They're just asking for that because they have no other evidence that you're going to make a difference for them. They have no other proof, no free samples, no authority, no social proof, no demonstration, no proving it with results. None of this stuff has been handled at all or at a high enough level for it to really soak in for them, for it to be good proof for them. So they're looking for other proof that they should hire you, or they're just looking for a reason not to hire you because you failed in your attempt to actually be credible to them. So if they're asking you about your certification, now I'm sure there might be some industries out there where that might not be the case. They might actually want a certain type of certificate or whatever. But in most times that I see with every industry I've ever worked in, and in addition to that, most industries I've seen our students work in as well, it's not about the certificate. It's about the credibility that the coach did not deliver, and they didn't deliver it early enough, and so that question came up. And even if that question comes up, the answer doesn't have to be, I don't have certification, or I'm certified by so-and-so. I mean, you could say that if you want, but probably a better answer would be, here's what I can tell you about what I produce for other people. Here's how I can help you. Here's proof. Here's evidence. Let me help you with some results there. And you shouldn't have that person hire you until they really are, satisfied that they're going to get results through the process that you're going to provide for them. If they don't believe that, then yeah, you're just going to have to push and push and push, and maybe some people can be pushed like that, but very few nowadays, and they'll chances are come out of it with kind of a sour taste in their mouth, and you will probably not enjoy that either. You want to enjoy the process of enrollment and enrolling new clients, then provide credibility. Be responsible for that and really take that on. You can do this, there's no doubt about it. And a certificate is a relatively weak alternative to the things that we see in front of us right here. By the way, I did see a question. I'm going to have to, let's see, Stanley says, I'm going to have to leave before the webinar ends. Is there a replay? I can't promise a replay for sure because, technology, you just never know. But every time we've done a webinar so far, we have successfully captured it. And we successfully offered a replay as well. So my shorter answer is I can't guarantee it, but I intend to provide a replay in case there's anything you missed. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Now let's move on to the second area, how to get your first paid clients fast and make it feel natural for you. So I'm going to give you a quick story, and this is hopefully going to help you get a sense of the best practices for getting going with new paying clients and actually making it feel natural for you. If you really care about coaching people and you have some skills as a coach to some extent, or you're building those skills, then this should really work quite well for you. Years ago, when I still lived in California, I was walking around at a mall. It was an outside mall in Irvine. I think it was called Spectrum Center. I'm not sure. They have a couple malls around Southern California, if not elsewhere as well. It's just this beautiful mall. It's got this huge theater and just all these really cute artisanal shops and stuff like that. And we, I can't even remember what we were doing there. I mean, we had just happened to be in the neighborhood, so we decided to walk around the mall. And we might have wanted to go to see a movie or something. I really can't remember. But bottom line is, we're walking around the mall, and we came upon this candy store. And we're walking by. I mean, we're not even close to it. It just happens to be in the vicinity. And we turn and we look, and neither of us were in the market for anything sweet at that time. And I don't think we had even eaten lunch yet. But there was somebody standing outside Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. That's what you're looking at right now. It's just a candy store in Southern California. Somebody standing outside Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory with a tray of goodies, a tray of candy, chocolate, all sorts of good stuff, right? Caramel apples, you name it, right? And they had the uniform, they had the little apron, a little blue apron with the stripes and just the whole 9 yards, right? And so, we looked over there, we noticed that person was there, and they were probably maybe no more than 15 feet away. So we said, hey, let's go check out some of those samples. And we walked over there and we grabbed some of the samples, and they were pretty good. Now look, now we're like 3 feet away from the door, right? And the employees being really nice, and they're smiling, and we're like, well, we're here, and the stuff tasted pretty good. Let's go inside. Let's go inside and check it out and see what they've got, just for the hell of it. And so we went inside, and we walked around, and it looked pretty much just like what you're looking at right here. And except, and I don't think you can see it here, but this particular Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory had free samples of lots of different stuff, like just sitting throughout their store. And so we're in there and we're looking around and we're like, hey, let's get some more free samples. And we tried some of the other stuff as well, chocolate covered pretzels and almonds and apples and whatever, marshmallows, you name it. And it was all really good. Some of the stuff was so good. We had such a great experience just having a little tiny sample of it that we said, we got to get some of that. I said, I got to get some of that and that. And then my girlfriend at the time said, I got to get some of this over here and some of that over there, whatever. I can't remember what we bought. And so we filled our bags, and long story short, we walked out of Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory with like $15 worth of candy that we had not planned on buying. And we weren't even really interested in. We probably didn't even need to eat, and we probably shouldn't have been eating it either. But bottom line is, what happened there? What happened with that? And what happened was something I actually just mentioned a second ago when we talked about credibility, which is free sampling. Free sampling. The free sampling actually made that candy store $15 that they wouldn't have made that day, at least from us. And chances are they didn't do it just for us. It was probably a best practice they were using every day or every other day or every weekend or whatever it was, possibly for years. So chances are that day they might have made an extra $50 in sales, or maybe 75, just from that free sampling process. And if you multiply that by day after day, week after week, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars of candy sales within that store came from their free sampling process. It could be, maybe as much as 50% of the business. We actually just bought a business that's somewhat similar in some ways. It's a food service type of business, retail food, and the gentleman we bought the business from had done so much free sampling that for a year he just broke even in his business, giving away free samples. And we now have a profitable business as a result of the work that he did to give away free samples, to actually get customers. Because when people sample your candy, so to speak, and it's good, they actually have a great experience, they tend to be hungry for more. They tend to be hungry for more. And whereas before they didn't have a hunger for it, so they're probably not going to pay money for it, now they're hungry for it, and they're like, well, it's worth some money for me to get more of what I already had a little bit of for free. So free sampling is a process you'll see at the grocery stores of the world, at the Costco's of the world. Food is a huge place where they do that. Basically, if you look at Groupon and a lot of these kind of really cheap offers, they're not necessarily free, but these coupons are making things practically free nowadays. And that's all about giving people a sample. They don't make money on the upfront give, right? They make money on the back end from people getting hungry for more of what they actually tried for free or for very little investment. Hopefully you got the point. So for you, a free sample, it could be a lot of things, but up front, even if you don't have any information, you don't have any videos or audios or ebooks to give away, you can do free sessions. You can give your time. You can give at least one session to each prospective client, and that is a legitimate free sample. Every single successful coaching business I've ever seen does this. So it's not really a debatable practice. At least in my experience. I'm sure there could be exceptions that I just haven't met those guys yet. But I know some of the I know most of what I am aware of as the most profitable coaching businesses in the world. We're talking about businesses that do in the millions per year in revenue at least, and they do this for sure in a variety of ways. Most of the time, more than just free sessions, but they're doing it in some way, shape, or form. So your goal that you want to have, especially as you're getting started, to make this a natural process, is not to go try to push your coaching on somebody. It's to use the law of attraction, so to speak, by actually offering it for free for just the first session. And then if you've done a good job and you've really helped them in some way, shape, or form, chances are they're going to want more help. And now you can negotiate a paid arrangement to continue to work with that prospective coaching client. And if you do, here's my promise to you, you do 100 of these free sessions. If your coaching is great, in other words, it's got to be quality coaching, and you actually ask for them to sign up and pay you to coach. Like, you can't just not ask, right? Because, people will just keep taking if you just keep giving. But if you do those two things, you provide phenomenal coaching and ask for them to continue and actually pay some kind of fee, even if it's a really low fee, you will have a bigger business than before you did those 100 free sessions. That is my promise to you. So you just got to go give coaching. And by the way, if you are, even if you've never coached professionally in your life and you're just thinking about getting started, chances are you've coached before. That's probably one of the reasons why we're talking, is because you've made a difference and helped people in a variety of ways, and you want to keep doing it, and you'd like to do it for a living, or you'd like to make a life out of it, or like to make money doing it. And so if you can do it without making money, I mean, let me tell you, it's harder to coach without getting paid and help somebody than it is to coach and get paid. Because once somebody's paying, they're pretty much invested. You know, I mean, they could pay and miss a session and still get results just because they're saying, hey, I paid for it. I better go get the result, you know. So if you can get results with people without them paying you, then you're definitely going to do a great job. And if it was comfortable to do that before, just help people for free, then it should be comfortable and natural for you to be able to help somebody for one session for free in these 100 free sessions that you're doing. So hopefully this makes sense as to how natural this actually could be for you. And once you do that, the only next step is, okay, great, if you want to continue working with me, you know, I have fees, and here's what the fees are. What would you like to do? Pretty simple stuff when it comes down to it. Now, there's other elements to getting started quickly, to expand your coaching business quickly. And also, this may or may not feel natural depending on your skill sets. Speaking can help you accelerate these free sessions and getting more paying clients, getting new paying clients on a almost instantaneous basis. The coaches that I know that got comfortable speaking and are doing a decent amount of speaking, they're the ones that generate the most clients, the most revenue, the quickest. It's not necessarily the end-all, be-all, because speaking is a bit of a job. It's, you know, in my opinion, I wouldn't want to just constantly have to speak in order to keep my business going, but it's a great way to accelerate your coaching business quite quickly. One of the reasons is because you can get in front of a lot of people and give one talk and impact a lot of people all at once, and then have a bunch of free sessions. I mean, if I gave everyone on this webinar a free session who's just listening to me right now, I'd have, according to my stats here, over 40 free sessions that I could set. So I'd hit half my goal right there. Now I don't give free sessions anymore. I barely do take on one-on-one clients now. But if I was to want to do that, I could hit this goal probably within a month or two at the largest amount of time. And I see our students do that as soon as they start speaking. So speaking can help you accelerate this. Not to mention, this is a little bit of a bonus aside, that also generates authority, because when you speak in front of a group, we're naturally trained to believe that the speaker, the person that's in front of everyone, must have credibility. They must be an authority to some extent, or else they wouldn't have gotten the invitation to be in front of that group in the first place. Even before you say a word as a speaker, you are an authority in the mind of probably more than 50% of your audience, unless, you know, they're a really critical bunch, like research scientists or something like that. Most people are going to feel that you're already credible and you're already an authority. You just don't want to spoil it. You want to do a good job speaking. The internet's another great place to accelerate this massively. This is something that takes a little bit more time than like starting a speaking business, but for those that are, I mean, I know I'm much more of an introvert than an extrovert in terms of my natural, like what's comfortable for me. And the internet has been a godsend for, you know, giving me a chance to like be at home, be with my family, and not have to run around chasing after people that I don't even know in order to generate the free sessions for my team and new clients on a pretty regular basis. So, you know, if speaking isn't for you, the internet might be the perfect alternative to that. Now, there are some individuals who can and will do both, who will speak and use the internet. And although most people don't know how to use the internet, if you know what you're doing, and you know what you're doing in your speaking business as well, the guys that I know that have done that, the guys and gals, have $1 million practices. You know, I mean, they're out there speaking, but they have a great internet presence that they're expanding, and they have a team that manages that for them, and they have $1 million coaching businesses. Bottom line, and I know other coaches that are relatively new that have six-figure coaching businesses that are on their way to $1 million coaching business if they continue to expand these two areas: their speaking and their internet presence. Now, let's go ahead and move to this final area I promised I would cover tonight, which is how to connect your passion and what you do best into a profitable niche, product line, and coaching service. So how do you do this? Well, passion is kind of an interesting thing. Sometimes passions can change. And you know, we've, over the last like 2 or 3 decades, with especially the personal development world, passion and embracing your passion and doing your passion and being passionate about something and trying to find your passion or your purpose has become very much mainstream. It's become popularized. And so passion is actually one of those things that it's almost like at this point we don't even have to talk about it, because chances are if you're on this webinar with me, you've already decided on some passion, because chances are that's what brought you here, which is a great start. So it's not, I'm not going to work with you today or tonight on like figuring out what your passion is, you know, because chances are you've already worked on that quite a bit, and hopefully you have a really good idea of what that is. The challenge with passion, though, is it's like this picture here. It's like air, and it's like, how do you make it real? How do you turn that passion into profit, into clients, into a life? You know, some people seem to be able to do it, and it's like magic. So how do you do it? What you need to be able to do is externalize that passion. Because passion is an internal game. I mean, you can't show me passion. You can show me a look that you have on your face when you're feeling passionate, but you can't show me your passion. You can say somebody's passionate about something, so when they're doing it, that's passion. No, that's just them doing something that they say they're passionate about. The reality is that you can't see passion. You can just make a judgment as to whether somebody's passionate or not, and only they ultimately know. So you got to work on this, and this is the challenge of externalizing your passion. Now, how do you do that? How do you externalize your passion? Well, there's a good chance that there's times when the things that you know you're passionate about, you've either participated in them, or you've felt them, or you have connected with them. And so those are probably the beginnings of externalizing your passion. Whatever you're passionate about, I mean, if you just wrote that down right now, or you clarified and just got it, you know, kind of in your mind's eye, you could probably have an idea of like, what could I do that would get me to experience and connect with that right now or in the near future? Who would I need to coach? What would I need to be talking to them about? What kind of help would I need to offer? In what context? In what way? In what modality? In what style? Right? There's all these different questions, and so there's activities that could actually be an external representation of that passion, even though it's not really the passion in and of itself. But it's an externalization. It's an externality of that passion. So that's the first piece. Is you got to start to think about and kind of analyze, if you will, or probably a better way of saying it is imagine what could be an external representation of what your passion is. That's where we need to start. And you should come up with and brainstorm like a giant list of those, whatever it happens to be, like 20, 30, 40 possible places that you could actually externalize that passion. That's where to start. That's kind of like step one, if you will. Okay. Next, find your target customer. The thing is that if you want to take this passion and be able to actually connect it with a profitable niche, what you do best, connect it with a profitable niche, a profitable coaching service, then you got to have a customer. You got to have somebody who wants to engage with you in that passion, or take advantage of the fact that you have that passion in some way, shape, or form, or else it's going to fall flat. So you got to find your target customer. Now, most of the time when I talk to coaches, they say, you know, my target customer is law of attraction or life purpose, or you know, working with women or working with men, or working with the elderly, or working with young people, or working with people who are depressed, or, you know, and a lot of times most of those things that they're mentioning are not really target markets. They're not niches. Now, some of those I mentioned are probably on the borderline of a niche, but if your only interest or your only passion that you've kind of figured out, or your only target customer, if you will, that you've come up with is personal development, I'm going to help people be better people, then you're really not, that's like 8 billion people. That's like everybody on the planet, you know, probably that is your customer. And you got to narrow that a lot more. Let's put it that way. Now, in order to find a legitimate niche, I'd suggest that you choose one of 3 mega niches. The first mega niche is money, finances, and business. This niche is, somebody's starting a business, somebody's growing a business, somebody, like business consulting, anything around money and finances would be within this mega niche. There are plenty of customers that are happy to pay you in order to help them make more money and have a better business or start a business or sell their business or a million other things, right? So that is a mega niche that is highly valid. It's billions of dollars spent every year in that mega niche. And if you have passions that could lead you, I actually coach in that mega niche when we're talking about coaching business, because ultimately we're talking about a business. It's not just a skill. It is a skill, but it's also a career skill. So a lot of times the reason why somebody might hire my university or enroll and pay our tuition is because of we're in this niche. They're wanting to make money in this business. It's a real business for them that they're starting. So we actually kind of coach in that niche. It's a great place. I'm very passionate about not the money part, sometimes the business part, but not so much. It's mostly engaging with those particular types of individuals, people who really care about people and want to make a difference. I just happen to be in that mega niche, ultimately. The second mega niche is love and relationships. Love and relationships. There's a lot of individuals out there that are coaching people on dating and marriage and divorce and challenges and family coaching and social coaching. This really falls under that umbrella. And look, if this part of your life is not handled, if like relationships or they're missing for you, or they're not going well, or they're abusive, or they're unhappy, or they're boring, or lack of passion, or lack of love, or whatever, like you're willing usually to spend some of your money on fixing that as long as you really believe that somebody can truly help you with that. This is a $1 billion a year mega niche, and it's worth looking at. So if that's an area you're passionate about, you should choose that one probably, at least to start to find that target customer. And then the third mega niche is health, wellness, and fitness. Ultimately, this means avoiding death, avoiding sickness and illness and pain, like internal pain in your body, and not having the ability to do what a healthy person would do, etc. And also, this has to do with having abilities beyond maybe what your average guy or gal might have, like being even more fit, strong, have high energy, etc. Not to mention also weight loss, and having a certain type of body, if you will. This is maybe a little bit more on the superficial side sometimes, but it also has health consequences. So this is a multi-billion dollar a year niche. All these things that we just mentioned that fall underneath that umbrella, that mega niche, if we were to chalk up everything that's spent on weight loss, on health, on fitness, etc., we're talking about probably 3 to 10 billion a year that's spent in that mega niche alone. So there's really no argument that these mega niches, money, finances, and business, love and relationship, and then finally health, wellness, and fitness, there's coaches that are doing quite well in these niches. And try to find, especially if you're starting out, try to find one of these 3 that you can really get serious about and make a play for. And then you're going to be at least in the right ballpark, rather than be kind of lost in the personal development and general success coaching world, which kind of doesn't mean anything to your client anymore. So find a target customer within one of those 3 mega niches. And then finally, just learn. If you're trying to coach certain people, you want to gain some expertise to help them. You don't have to be an expert. I've coached probably, maybe a couple thousand real estate agents in my career. And my coaches have done the same to some extent, or as a team, we've coached about that many. None of us have ever been real estate agents. We gained expertise over the years after coaching so many of them. A lot of them, we learned our expertise from them about what they needed to do, and then we eventually partnered with training companies that taught us a lot as well. But we had to be committed to learning quite a bit in that niche, and it was very, very profitable for many years, and still is to some extent for our business. So you do want to gain some expertise, but don't let lack of expertise stop you from helping somebody. Go help them, and then go read the books that you need to read. Go watch the videos, go to the trainings. And you could do that over a period of years. You don't have to do it overnight before you start helping somebody. But it is a key element to connecting the passion and connecting what you do best into a profitable niche product line and coaching service. This will help you ramp up those profits to a higher level. Okay, so now let's talk about getting started. We talked a lot about a variety of approaches and a little bit about the marketing and the client getting side of things. Let's get into actually getting started. So first of all, I'm gonna cover just a few overall understandings of the coaching business. One of the really, really cool things about the coaching business is that you can ramp up your coaching fees over a period of time and actually kind of get paid as you learn and get paid as you go out there and you attract more clients. And there's a variety of ways that you can get paid. You can get paid via speaking fees. A decent speaker is going to get paid somewhere between a couple $100 to thousands of dollars per speech. You might put together a product based upon the coaching sessions you've done. I didn't create products for years, and then finally I said, I know so much. I'm regurgitating the same expertise to new clients as I was to the clients years before. Maybe I should create a product that's going to kind of put all my experience as a coach together into one $100 product. And so products can be offered for thousands of dollars. They can be offered for $50. Depends on what kind of product you're putting together. But they could be great passive income and coach people when you don't even have time to coach them when you're not even there, coach them. You could even coach people you don't even want to coach and really still make a difference for them. So it's a beautiful thing for you and for your client. And then finally, of course, the old standby coaching fees. And, we estimate that for clients that we work with and many of our students work with, per client per year, you should be able to pull in somewhere between $1,500 and $12,000 per year per coaching client. And that is provable based upon any of the numbers I've seen within my business. Maybe some coaches charge less than that, but if you're charging a couple $100 a month, which is chicken feed for decent coaching, you're pulling in over $1,000 a year per client. So that can be one of the most lucrative sources, and hopefully should be if you're really a full-time coach, of your income as a coach. Now, what about being a new coach? How do you build this over time? I'm not going to talk about some of these fees, but let's just talk coaching fees for a second. So if you just went out there and put all your time and energy into building coaching clients, if you were to assume, I can get 4 new clients this month. I'll get a client a week. I'm going to go out there and talk to as many people as I can, do everything I can to get a client. And each week, on average, some weeks I won't, some weeks I'll get more than one. I'm going to get 1 new client a week, 4 new clients a month on average. And I'm going to charge a low fee, like about $250 a month. You can charge less or more, but this is just we're just using some arguments here for lack of the perfect number, let's say. But this is something that we know most coaches can charge if they're doing a halfway decent job. Your first month that you actually do this, you'd bring in $1,000. But the thing is, if you go out and do that again the following month, you're adding income to your already residual income stream. So you're still making the $1,000 a month from the first 4 clients because they pay that every month. Hopefully this makes sense. So you add another 4 clients. Now you got 8 clients, so you're pulling in $2,000 a month, and then month 3, $3,000, month 4, $4,000, month 5, $5,000, and of course month 6, $6,000. That's $6,000 a month by month 6. So we're talking about building about $1,000 a month in income every month. Now you might say, okay, Jeff, well, I don't want to coach more than 10 clients. And, depending on how much time you spend with them, you could very easily coach 20 or 30 clients, just working a couple days a week. But even if that was the case, you can then start running groups or do another type of leverage delivery like webinars or conference calls and still be able to coach more people and still be able to expand this business past month 4 or month 5 as well. You might also argue, you know what, Jeff, there's going to be some attrition. Some people may come, some people may leave, etc. And, okay, so that I can appreciate that. But if you're really working and you got a halfway decent network or you've got another way of building leads and generating coaching clients, getting 4 new clients a month consistently, if you're really putting the work in full time, you should be able to do that if you're a pretty good coach. And so again, you can look at month 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and imagine, you're just continuing to build up that income number. And I've literally seen things like this happen for our students and me at times, depending on what I'm doing to market and what I'm doing to build clients as well. And again, you see the small print at the bottom. These results are not the typical results. I don't claim that every coach does this, or even the average coach does this. We know the average coach makes less than you probably want to make, but we also know the reason why that is, which is that they think that they'll get certified, hang out a shingle, and get a bunch of business, and they can just sit there and wait for the phone to ring. And the fact is that's just not true. And that's really, in my opinion at least, why most coaches don't have anywhere near the income that they deserve. This is doable and it's possible. And the bottom line is, the legal disclaimer is, you probably won't do any of this and you'll probably make nothing, right? But with all of that aside, I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen again and again and again. I see this happen every day. Are there challenges? Are there problems? You bet. That's called a business. That's called life, right? But I like those kind of problems. If I'm doing something I love, if I'm doing something I'm passionate about, if I'm doing something that's still making me enough money to pay my bills, and I can do it from anywhere, that's worth some problems that I might get that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't started it. Those are problems that are worthy of solving and worthy of looking at and figuring out how to permanently get it so you can get past that and see this for as long as you'd like. Now, you want to see my numbers? I'll show you some of my numbers. And again, of course, we talked about speaking and products and coaching. And, every one of these is an income stream for me. So speaking, this is a speaking fee that I charged. This was, I think, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point. It's $1,000 for a 4-hour keynote. Products, we make product sales every single month. This was a $3,300 month. Actually last month was more like $5,000. If I'm remembering correctly, this was from a month that was in 2012. So we've been doing this for years now. But this just keeps happening. This happens passively. Anything on our shopping cart like this is just our one shopping cart account. Nobody does any work to actually produce this. It just happens and happens and happens because we've automated it. Now, I don't expect you to automate something like this the first day you're coaching, but after a few years of doing it, you can actually set up some passive income vehicles and really change people's lives, whether or not you ask them to sign up for coaching or not. And so from a product perspective, we know we can generate passive income from those products and really make a difference for people. This is something I actually, on our last webinar, I shared. I just had to copy it and share it with you guys, even though it wasn't kind of an official part of it. But I went back and I researched 2013, and after doing the math, it looked like we generated, just from our passive client generation, 100 clients a year, around 100 clients a year. And I didn't add up all the income, but that's pretty exciting. That's something I want to learn how to do and do more and better at as well. So that's the product side. Let's move on to the coaching side. Again, this is usually where the most money is made. It's also where a lot of the work is done in the coaching industry as well. These are some of my merchant statements that we pulled up a little while ago just to kind of give you a sense of what's possible. And in this particular month, I know there's a lot of numbers here, but I'll just circle it just so you can see. That's over $23,000 in coaching fees that we charge in that particular month. So that was one of our better months in terms of our merchant statement. We probably had a $30,000 month that month, but it's definitely doable. And if you can maintain half of that, you're probably paying your bills, chances are. So I wanted to share this because we're talking about getting started, and I wanted you to see what, number one, is possible, but also number two, I wanted to give you a sense of why it's important to start. Because if you don't start, none of this is ever possible. If you don't get on the court, if you don't begin the game, if you don't even play the game, well, there's no way to win. There's no way to win this game. So starting is pretty important. So I'm going to share with you now, since hopefully we all agree that starting is like the most important thing until you've done it. And once you've done it, sometimes you got to start again. Sometimes just kind of get back on your feet and, make another attempt. The secret to starting, and this is the secret to starting, whether it's starting online, like an online coaching business, starting on a speaking business model, or starting with a direct sales model, like just directly like going from town to town and just helping people, being a traveling guru, if you will. This is really the secret. And this may sound a little boring. You may not even want to hear this, but in my experience, the secret to getting started and getting started successfully is this: spend the time. Just spend the time. Out of the coaches that I talk to that consistently are complaining about not getting enough clients, that are complaining about they don't, that their clients aren't successful enough, that are unhappy because they're not where they want to be in their coaching business and their dream hasn't come true yet, and it's still just a dream or a goal. 9 out of 10 of them, the challenge is simply they just haven't put the time in. If you aren't making money as a coach, if you're not getting new clients, and you're not expanding at some level consistently, I don't mean just like for 1 month, I mean like over a period of 6, 12 months, 2 years, etc., and that's not happening for you, then chances are you're not putting the time in. You're just not doing the work. Now, there are exceptions to that, and that's one of the reasons why I put together our university. This is one of the reasons why what I'm going to share with you tonight, our certification trainings, is because we know there's coaches that are out there that are diligently putting in work, and they become my students, and they've been on a plateau for years, or they've been struggling just to get a couple clients for years. And then we show them the business models, we show them the conversations, we teach them the coaching skills that they need to really make a difference in those niches, and we help them with their strategy, and then they just explode. I was talking to a gentleman just I think a couple weeks ago, and he's in Master Coach University. And he got started with us in certification training, what we're going to talk about tonight. And he got started as a coach from scratch, and he was really struggling. He was trying to get his friends to get into coaching and kind of dealing with a lot of rejection and stuff like that. And then he thought he had achieved kind of a breakthrough, and he had gotten into an article in the New York Times where they were talking about certain young coaches, and he thought he was going to get some great publicity out of it, and they focused on him as a failing coach. They said he doesn't have any clients, and he just was demoralized, and he had just become one of our students just within that last 6 to 12 months or so. And he came to me and said, "Jeff, what the heck am I going to do? I mean, is this it for me? Is it over?" And we had a variety of conversations, but I told him, "Sean, your life isn't over. You got, any publicity is probably better than none, first of all. But second of all, your job here is to do the right thing and keep putting in the time, and come back in a year or two or whatever it is, and show the people that wrote that article, or the people that read that article, the people that laughed or whatever it was, that you delivered, that you turned that around." And because that's going to be your story. Your story is going to be, they laughed at me at first, and now, look at me now. They're not laughing now. And this gentleman, his name's Sean Stewart. Sean actually, I just talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he's on our team also. He eventually came onto our team once he graduated his first certification, and he's been coaching some of the largest businesses in the world through us, through our partners, and he finally just couldn't take on any more clients from us, and he came to me the other day, just about 3 weeks ago, and said, "Jeff, I'm so full up with my client base and everything that I'm doing in my business, I can't possibly do anything with anybody else, and I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do next to expand my business and what it's going to take to do that." He has no scarcity of clients anymore. Whatsoever. And that was just a matter of, it was a matter of probably a variety of things, but the number one reason Why he was able to achieve that was this, that he spent the time. And over time, we'd pick him up, he'd dust himself off, and he'd just keep putting in the time, and he achieved it, and he got there. And I see that over and over and over again. When I first started online, all I had to do was spend the time. I had an accountability coach to make sure that I was putting in my hours, trying to figure this marketing thing out. And I put in 5 hours, 10 hours a week, whatever it was, not that much, right? But I put some time in. And over a period of a couple months, all of a sudden, I was online. I was actually getting somewhere. And I was achieving real measurable results. Let me give you a little bit more background, a little more detail on what I mean by that. You may have seen this video. We have a video that's online talking about how to get started as a coach and how to build a $30,000 a month coaching business. And I really did start, if you've seen this video, in this trailer in Vista, California, up in the hills, freezing at night, and up in the hills because the pilot light on this little tiny trailer would go out, and the heater was afraid I was going to blow myself up. And it was kind of funny, and it wasn't really funny at the time, but I was committed to getting my business started here. And over a period of about 3-4 years, I had built a coaching business, and eventually built that business to a $30,000 a month income stream. Once again, this is not what you'll do or anybody will do. I'm not promising that, but that's just what I did, right? And chances are you're not going to do that, but that's what I did. And I did that through a couple means. I did that through speaking and seminars and workshops. I was working hard, there's no doubt. Putting in 7 days a week at the time. I had a team that actually helped us build the business and coach and deliver on our promises. And we were doing a lot of consulting also. We were consulting with businesses in a variety of ways and also doing coaching. So there's a lot of different ways that we did that, but bottom line is we were doing quite well. And then 2008 came along, and the industries that we were coaching died. And I was spending a good amount of money. I was spending money like I was making $30,000 a month, and all of a sudden I went from $30,000 a month to like $5,000 a month or less some months. And I was worse than broke at the time. We were in debt. This is the only time in my life I'd ever gone into some serious, 10,000 plus in debt, and it was not a fun experience. But I had to do something. And the good thing that happened here was I was in so much pain, and I was so stressed about what I was going to do to keep my business alive. And I was so serious about staying in business. I didn't want to just go get a job and just give up because the economy wasn't doing well, because I didn't believe that was the case. I didn't have that limiting belief that, oh, it's the economy, so I'm screwed. I really believed that I should be able to do this, but I just didn't know how. Luckily, over the last couple years before that, 2006, 2007, I had been coaching some people that worked with some of the larger internet marketers and coaching companies that had marketed themselves on the internet that were doing millions in revenue. And I had really helped those guys in a lot of ways. I really changed some lives of the people that were connected with these businesses. And so they really, they had paid my fee, definitely. It was a fair trade, but, they really felt they wanted to help me because they felt that I was doing good work. And so they actually brought me in to some trainings and helped kind of pick me up and told me, here's what we do. And they kind of opened the curtain and showed me some of the secrets to how to build the internet business. And I kind of figured it out just from learning from some of the masters of the universe, so to speak, on the internet. And even though I was kind of broke at the time and I was trying to pay off my debts, I had enough business to kind of keep afloat. I decided to put all my time that I could into building my online coaching business. And this is actually a picture I took a couple years after I did this, but it's representative of what I did, which was I took a 1-month trip. At the time it was to Peru. This is actually the Caribbean. But I kind of went to the third world where everything is very, very cheap, if you've got a US dollar. And I just checked into a yucky hotel and sat there with my laptop day after day, figuring the internet thing out, writing what I needed to write, creating the content I needed to create, putting the system together, the beginnings of my internet system. And over a period of a couple months and then ultimately a couple years, I built an internet presence, and I was able to get back up to about 10 to 20,000 a year in now what was passive income. And not to mention, well, actually, I'm going to mention it, I set myself free. I gave myself the freedom because I was no longer stuck with consulting and speaking and all this stuff to kind of run after clients. I gave myself the freedom to be able to go to the Far East and be there for I was there for a month, and I didn't work at all while I think I wrote like 2 blog articles while I was there and just checked email. That's about all I did. And that's me in the Bangkok at the Temple of the Sun. Go take multiple cruises and trips to the Caribbean, which is kind of a pet area of mine just because I've got access to it here in Florida as well. And also a journey basically around the world. Literally, this picture you see here, I don't know if you can see probably can't see my pointer, but if you see the picture on the right, that's me rounding Cape Horn. It's a nice, large, safe cruise ship, but we're basically right off the coast of Antarctica and Patagonia at the southernmost tip of the world, basically. And I was free to do that, not just because I had an income, but because I did my business wherever I went. Wherever my laptop and my phone went, I could make sure my business was okay. And after learning this and really to some extent, mastering these strategies, I said, I want to teach our students how to do this. And we were already teaching coaching skills at the time. It was really more because we had a team of coaches. But I said, some of our students don't want to work for us. They want to be able to start a business like this that we've done. So here's a little bit about what we've seen our own students do when they use the same strategies. And what I'm going to share here is I'm just going to share a few nuggets that I've seen our students do. There's one gentleman who was actually a really inspiring coach. He had the skills already as a coach, and all we did was teach him this business model. And he was doing some speaking. He had an internet presence. He kind of did the combination approach. And within about 8 months, he had, I can't remember exactly what the number was. I think it was somewhere between 40 and 60 clients that he was working with. And they had a high 6 figures coaching business, him and a partner. I think they were doing $200,000 or $300,000 a year at the time. All he needed was the business model. We taught him a couple of things that we talked about tonight, as well as the internet presence side in a lot more detail than we have time for tonight. And he was off to the races. And last time I heard, he didn't tell me this directly, but through a friend of his, last time I heard, he was talking about that he does about $1,000 an hour. That's like he's charging a lot more than I do per hour. There was another gentleman that we worked with that we actually showed the internet model specifically to them, and they've taken that and run with it. And they actually are coaching some of the most well-known celebrities that you'll have heard of. I won't drop names, but they were able to attract these individuals by being at the right place at the right time, partially, but also by having the kind of the client capture systems that we taught them how to put together. We'll talk about those tonight a little bit. And by using those, they've been able to create, basically a 6-figure coaching business. I see that, and by the way, the people that I'm talking about right now, I could go on and on and on with examples of these individuals. This is literally that New York Times article I had mentioned before. They actually looked at, a lot of my students in this article. That's how Sean had, I believe, found out about us. And these were all basically successful coaches. And they were not like, 50 and 60 years old and had all this knowledge or something. They just were passionate about doing it. They followed our systems. They gained the skills by way of going through our trainings in our university, and ultimately they spent the time, like I just mentioned just a second ago. They just spent the time. So that's what you want to do. I mean, if there's anything that you take from this webinar that we are experiencing together tonight, It's that you need to spend the time in any area if you're going to get a result in that area. And you got to spend a lot of times more time than you even want to. But that's what makes it extraordinary. That's what makes it special. Do those 100 free sessions and get started now. The sooner you get started, the sooner you can get through any challenging time that you got to spend. So get rolling online now if at all possible. And then finally, get trained in marketing. Get trained in sales. Get trained in coaching. You don't have to love marketing. I'm not in love with marketing. I'm definitely not in love with sales. But you know, with what we've done in our business, I haven't had to make a sales call, and I don't even remember the last time. I don't even know how many years it's been. But I've made my share of sales calls as well. And the reason why I'm able to do that, and the reason why things are a lot easier for me now, is because I got trained in these areas. Because I mastered them enough to make it work for the business that we had. And you don't have to be a marketing guru or a sales guru, but you do need to understand those things to some extent, or you probably won't have much of a business to speak of in the short term. And in the long term, you can walk away from this stuff eventually, but you got to do something up front. So, 3 steps to start online. Just going to get down to some simple answers as to what are the 3 simple things that you can do to get started online immediately. The first thing, get traffic. Now, what is traffic? What does that mean? We're not talking about freeway traffic here. Any website, there's a certain amount of people that go there, right? Somebody hits your site. They call them, you know, web hits, if you will, or unique visits. And you need people to actually show up at your site. So you need a method for getting large amounts of traffic to your site. And there's a lot of ways you can do this, but when you're getting started, I highly recommend using simple advertising like Google and Facebook. They make it very easy to get started advertising to get traffic to your site, and using some SEO methods that are not technical. They're simply a matter of putting the right content out there in the right way. And there's a little research you need to do in order to know how to do this. But literally with our students, we teach them how to do this, and within 5 days, they're actually doing exactly what we're talking about here, and they're immediately, almost instantaneously, getting traffic to their website. Nobody shows up on your site, you can't possibly get them as a client. So that's the first step. You got to get some traffic. Second step, capture leads. Somebody's on your site doesn't mean that they're ever going to become a client. I mean, it's a first step, but it's not the last by far. So just because you know where the traffic is, or you get the traffic to your site, doesn't mean you've got them as a client. You got to capture them. You got to capture leads. Kind of lay a little bit of a trap for them in a good way, not in a malicious way. You're not trying to really trap anybody. And to do that, you need to set up a squeeze page. And a squeeze page is simply a way of saying, here's a page that offers something in exchange for somebody's contact info, and they can either give you their contact information or they can leave. And that it kind of squeezes out a lot of times the email address, and it squeezes them for the decision. Like, do you really want what I'm going to offer you, or could you really care less? And the people that really want it, generally, especially if you're going to give it to them for free, they're willing to share some contact information with you, even if it's not their primary email. And something is better than nothing, because then you can communicate with them over time rather than just the one chance to get them as a client. If somebody hits your site, they're not just going to become a client the moment they hit your site. You have to build a relationship. There is a dating process before you get married. And in order to start that dating process, you've got to have some emails that they're going to go back and forth. This is how you start getting those emails. You have to have some type of system for these squeeze pages. And we have a variety of systems that we espouse, and we teach you how to do this within our trainings and what we're going to talk about tonight as well. And then finally, you got to become friends. Once you capture that lead or capture that email, you got to start to become friends with them. And so that means that obviously you can use an autoresponder database, like a way of sending emails to thousands of people just with one email send, and you need a database to do that. Pretty simple technology. Any kind of email communication through that vehicle or a variety of other vehicles can build a friendship. And the best way to create a friend out of somebody who's a stranger is just, like we said before, is if you just give them enough value. If you give them something that they really do value, that they care about, and you show that you care about them, they're going to be your friend. And if somebody's your friend, then you can easily start to work that into a free session or a paid relationship or a product or a speaking engagement or something that ultimately is going to land in the bank for you. Those 3 steps are the steps that we take every day and the steps that our students take every day that generates clients for them. And really, besides all this, I mean, this is kind of the nuts and bolts of it. There's 2 skills to learn to get started. Number 1, coaching skills. I mean, your clients really do want you to be skilled as a coach. They may not even realize that that's what they want, but they want it. They want you to be able to deliver for them, and coaching skills is what delivers for a client beyond any expertise that you need to build. So that's a skill that you need to learn. Number 1, if you're going to really retain clients for the long term and be a profitable business, you could be profitable without a lot of coaching skills, but not if you're really being ethical and not if you want to sleep at night. So you really want to build these skills if you really care about people. And as well, it just makes your job easier as far as attracting clients and customers and students as well. And then second, business skills. And if this is a weaker area for you, that's okay. If you care enough about touching people and coaching them and helping them, you're going to do a little bit in this area, enough to get it to work. You know, I have no love for business. It's not the place where I love to spend all my time. But I really don't have to spend a lot of time there because of the automation we've set up and some of the strategies that we have. You know, I think there's only 2 or 3 weeks out of the year that I work more than, 50, 53 hours in a week. So, I mean, that's a normal work week, and I don't have to put all that time in every day. But it's no more than most executives work, most people with a real job work, or most people with an income where they're actually taking care of their family work as well. And I'm able to do that on those hours without too much stress. Really without any stress now. But when you're getting started, there's a little growth process that does happen. So you do want to make sure that you have some business skills. And if you don't have those, we can teach those to you, especially in terms of how the actual coaching business works. Okay, so that was a lot. I hope you took some notes. I hope you've got some actions on your action list as well. And at this point, I'm going to kind of segue into what we call the coaching exhibition. And this is really a chance for you to observe some of the skills that we teach within the coach certification training. This is a chance to also, if you actually want to get some support and get some coaching, it's a chance to get some coaching directly from me in the next couple minutes here. So here's the thing. We talked about the mechanics of the online business tonight. And I'm fine if there's an area there that you want some help with. But, just talking about mechanics and, just business strategy is not really the best example of coaching. Because coaching is not about what you know. It's not about expertise, so to speak. It's about the process that leads someone to getting a result that they're after. A certain amount of transformation, change, progress, growth, etc., ultimately that can generate any result for anyone, anytime, anywhere, in any circumstance. That's the real power here. So really what I'm looking for, if you're interested in working with me over the next couple minutes, is I'm looking for somebody that, if you feel like you've got like a problem that is unsolvable, right? It's something you just cannot change. Or it's you have a goal that's out there and you've been working towards it, and maybe you've been stuck in the process, or it's just a huge goal and you're not even sure how to get started. Something like that. A big challenge, a big goal, something that's, really can be a bit intimidating, whether or not you're intimidated by it. Not looking just for questions about coaching as a business or something like that, because coaching isn't Q&A. It's much more than that. But if there's something you think I can't change that, or I can't get that, or it's something it's like, this doesn't even seem possible, or that it's something more than just learning a couple steps and doing them for you, like it's a bigger deal than that, then definitely speak up. If that's you, then definitely speak up. Now, I do have you on mute, so in order to speak up, I'm going to ask you to talk into the chat to let me know that you're interested in getting some coaching here. You can just volunteer through the chat. And my promise to you is you're going to get a breakthrough on this call, or on this webinar, as we call it, right now. Okay, Melissa, I'm going to go ahead and take you off a mute here. Just give me 1 second. I'm just got to find you on my lovely list. Okay, I think I see you. Okay, Melissa Martin, are you out there? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, Jeff.
Right,
how
fantastic.
are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. And where are you heralding from? Where are you tonight?
I am in Kingston, Canada.
Oh, very cool. Awesome, awesome. I know we've got some people overseas that are on this webinar, and we actually have a lot of students in Canada, so it's always awesome to work with one of y'all up there. So, look, before we start, or before we begin, maybe you can just share with me, like, what is it that I need to know, or what is it that you're after out of our conversation?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've been doing your course online, and I was saying to my military husband, actually, tonight, that it's one of the finest I've ever taken, because I'm in the counseling and coaching business myself, 15 years, and I really want to break into a business, a coaching business for outgoing military members who are transitioning to civilian employment. Okay. So I have my new website, and where I'm stuck, I guess that's what you're asking me, is getting it off the ground.
Okay. And when you say getting it off the ground, like, how would you know if you got it off the ground? I mean, because there's a lot of, it's one thing to have the goal. It's one thing to take a few actions. It's one thing to get the website set up. There's so many different things you could be doing. What is the first, in your opinion, like from your perspective, what would you say is the first thing that needs to happen for you to know that you achieved that, for you to know that, okay, this at least, maybe it's not perfect, but at least it started, at least it's off the ground?
I guess the first thing would be I've already committed myself to doing a teleseminar on April 15th on emotional intelligence. And I don't care if I get any participants.
Sure.
I still plan to record it.
Nice.
And after that, I'm going forward with developing some sort of audio product after that.
Okay. All right, great. Well, you've already got a plan, and it sounds like it doesn't sound like you're not, well, let me ask you, those things that you just mentioned that are in the plans, how confident are you that you're going to do that stuff?
I'm confident that I'm going to do the teleseminar on April 15th.
Okay.
If you were to rate me out of 10, which is a typical coaching thing to do, sure. For the audio product, I'm maybe 50% confident.
So we don't have to go any further there. So you got, if you listen to Melissa, you already heard just in her tone. We don't even have to get into the rating because you can hear it in her voice. That's not
yes.
Not so confident about that one, right? So,
yes.
But you still didn't answer my question. The question is, what is getting off the ground? You said, okay, that's where I'm stuck in getting it off the ground. What is getting it off the ground? Like once you get what? Like what has to happen? Not what you have to do, because you got all sorts of stuff that it sounds like are already in your plans, like strategies and tactics that you're going to execute. Some of which you know you're going to do, some of which you're not so sure about, and that's fine. But that's true, I think, for just about any business. I mean, I've got strategies that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I've been in the business for 14 years 13 years on my own, 14 years from a career perspective. So the question for you is like, what do you want to see happen that would make it off, that would mean off the ground for you, that you're actually stuck in, or that you're actually not sure is going to happen for you?
I guess the answer to that question would be that I psychologically am committed to it, and that I gain confidence in getting it off the ground. Okay,
so we're getting self-referential here, but let's keep talking about this here. So let me ask you this. I'm just kind of checking in because this might get us to where we're looking to go. It may not. We may need to kind of circle the wagons a couple more times. But so if you were just fully committed to this business and you just felt confident that you could do it, then would that get you off the ground? Would you consider your business off the ground at that point?
I think I would, yes.
Okay, great. So, guys, if you heard that little question and answer right there, you got the first most important step in this process, which is, first of all, whenever you're working with anybody, with almost any type of coaching, really, where you're actually, going to have a successful result, first you just got to know what your client wants. So my first job with Melissa was just to say, okay, she wants to talk to me, and that's nice, but the conversation is worthless unless I can actually help her get a result or support her with getting some value. And value for her is a result that she wants, not that I want for her, right? Because we could go round and round with all sorts of personal development, talk about stuff, and still not be very valuable, right? So the first question, so to speak, I had to answer was, well, okay, what do you want? What are you after? And now, if you guys heard that answer, then you got the $50,000 bonus, or the kind of the first $50,000 answer, which is what Melissa wants is to get her coaching business off the ground. And she measures that, Melissa measures that not by an external result even. It's like not some kind of amount of money or 10 clients or something like that. I'm sure all that'd be nice. She measures that internally by saying, okay, if I was just totally committed to it, and if I was just, confident that I was going to do this thing's off the ground, So we know now it's not just get off the ground, it's specifically be committed to it, and it's specifically feel the confidence about that. Does that sound right, Melissa? Just want to kind of triple check on that.
Yes, absolutely. You're bang on.
All right, great. So now we know what Melissa really wants, which is not just get the business off the ground, it's a certain commitment level, it's a certain feeling, it's kind of an inner game type of thing. So, Melissa, the next super, super duper important question is, now that we know what you're after, which is just to have the confidence and commitment around this business, let me ask you this. What's preventing you from having that right now? What's preventing you from having the confidence and the commitment to this business as we speak?
What's preventing me from having the confidence? That's a great question. Well, I haven't done it yet, so that's one thing. So I haven't actually done it yet. Another thing actually preventing me is that I have a full-time job, so time would be another thing, and possibly money.
Okay, so really, really good. So you gave me three things. You've got time, money, and experience. Let's just call it experience for simplicity's sake right now. Time, money, and experience, right? So how much... no, let's back up for a second. At some point, now, well, actually, Melissa, let's just do that. Let's kind of bounce back and forth on this really quick. Do you have to spend a certain amount of time, have a certain amount of money, or have something already done in order to be committed and confident about it?
I believe so, yes,
Right.
because I do work full-time, and I know that investing in this business and getting it off the ground will necessitate a certain amount of money,
Sure.
realistically speaking.
Okay, all right, got it. Well, you said that getting it off the ground just meant being psychologically committed to it and confident about it versus any kind of monetary investment. So is that not true?
That's true.
Okay, so now we're starting to hear the most important preventing factor, the real most important preventing factor from you actually getting this thing off the ground, which is a set of beliefs that you have about what has to happen for you to have the commitment and for you to have the confidence. And I appreciate you being honest about that answer to that question, because the first reaction that you had was, I have to have some time and money and this and that in order to be committed to it and confident about it. So if you believe that, and I'm going to let you tell me this, Melissa, if you believe that in order to be committed to this, in order to be confident about it, you have to have the time, you have to have the money, and you have to actually have the thing get off the ground, then are you ever going to get it off the ground?
Yes, I am going to get it off the ground because I have goals in mind.
So okay, so if you have a goal, then it's automatically going to happen.
I believe so. I've been wavering for 3 years, Jeff.
Okay. All right. So you sound confident to me. Are you actually confident that you're going to get this thing off the ground?
I'm relatively confident. I believe that 2014 is going to be my year to do it. Yes.
All right, great. All right, so we got you that one. That one's not an issue anymore.
Yes.
All right, great. So now, by the way, guys, the first thing she said when we started talking about what she wants was confidence. And then now she's saying she's got the confidence. Now, is it true that she's always confident? I don't know. Let me ask you, Melissa. I got that you're confident now because you just kind of you can see how you kind of assemble the reality. It's like, this is real. I could be confident about this. Are you consistently confident in that way? Or is it only at certain times you're confident, sometimes you're not?
I work in mental health and I work in stages of change. So I deal with this daily with my clients. And am I always confident? No. But I'm developing my confidence because I'm challenging my negative self-talk.
Nice. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the bottom line is this: is that as long as you manage that you're confident about it, you can be confident about this at any time. Nothing has to happen for you to have the confidence. You just need to actively be confident about it, and that could mean self-talk or just seeing the future and being committed and knowing, or talking to a coach about this or something. But as long as you focus on it in that way, the confidence can be there. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes.
All right, great. So the confidence is kind of behind us now. Now, that's not to say you'll be confident every moment again, but it sounds like you'll do that more and more and more. So it's really great. By the way, the only thing that let me put it this way. Whether or not you might say one thing or another. You might say something that makes you feel lack of confidence. You might say something that makes you feel confident. What will have you be confident consistently is a belief that you'll probably are going to need to change, or that will change naturally just as a result of you achieving certain things. So that you don't have to say one thing or another. You don't have to work at feeling the confident. You'll just be confident because you have certain beliefs that support you in that. Or there are other beliefs that made you feel less than confident in the past. So what is it that you have to, let me ask you this. What is it that you have to believe in order to not feel the confidence still? Even though you can be confident. Because you can override that belief, but there's times when that belief still causes you to have a lack of confidence.
I would say faith in myself.
Yes. And what's preventing you from having faith in yourself?
What's preventing me is that I need to practice it daily. For example, I'm rereading the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. And I'm thinking of the parable in the New Testament of faith in the grain of a mustard seed, and just giving myself the chance to feel more confident by having these affirmations every day that I can do this, I can be successful like you.
So once again, what's preventing you from having that faith?
I guess it's because I although I've coached clients, for 15 years in my field, I guess what's preventing me is that online. I have somewhat of an online presence, but I don't have the online presence with the coaching. So I like your idea about the 100 clients, uh, coaching clients and whatnot. So I think that's preventing me. Uh, but I guess that's only temporary until I do it.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of coaching on this just for a second, and we'll come back to see if we can answer that question again. Because this thing about the confidence is actually the same issue that's preventing you from having the confidence at times. I know, like you said, you can develop that confidence. You can use active faith, among other things, to actually build that confidence up in the moment. But what's preventing you from having that consistently is the same thing that's preventing you from the psychological commitment, as you had mentioned. And and let me give you a little bit of coaching on what it's not. And actually, this is something that my guess is, based upon your expertise, that you actually already know. So hopefully I'm just reminding you of this more than anything else. What's not preventing you from having that confidence and that commitment is any amount of time, any amount of money, any circumstance outside of you. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so we know this is an inner game. But here's the thing, because it's easier for most of us to see like the circumstances and the techniques and all the stuff, like the nuts and bolts we talked about tonight as well. It's like we get focused on that and we project all our issues, confidence, commitment, all that stuff. We project that onto the circumstances, like the circumstances are really going to make a difference in this. And the bottom line is you could have all the websites, all of the clients, all the experience, all the time, all the money, all that stuff. And yes, there's no doubt that would probably help in terms of confidence and commitment to some extent. But the basis of that confidence and commitment is not those things. The basis of the confidence and the commitment may have been belief in those things that you invested in it. But the bottom line is that confidence, that commitment is based in one thing, one person, which is you. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the truth is you can have that confidence anytime you want, and you have demonstrated that already on this webinar. You've also demonstrated it in the past, and you're confident about that. And you can also be committed to this at any time because you know what it is to commit. You've committed to other things in the past. It didn't take time, money, energy, etc. It didn't take all that stuff. You just had to be committed. That was an inner game as well. So as we've been asking these questions, and by the way, guys, this is what your clients do all day long. This is somebody who's already knows this stuff, is trained in this, helps other people in it. We're still getting these types of answers, which are the surface level conversation. And what's on the surface, if all you do is deal with this stuff that Melissa's been sharing so far, the stuff that's bubbling on the surface, you're never going to get to what's really going on. You're never going to get to what's really preventing a client from being confident. You're never going to get to what's really preventing them from a certain commitment that they need to make. They're never going to get to that. And what's preventing you, Melissa, from the consistent confidence that you want, that you desire, to get this thing off the ground, which will, by the way, if Melissa is confident and committed, she'll get this off the ground faster and more powerfully than if she's waiting for circumstances to cause her to be confident and committed. In fact, as a coach, especially when you don't have an organization behind you, people, your clients, the people who are going to pay you to lead them, are going to expect that you're confident and committed before all the other cool stuff shows up. Because leaders have to go first. They got to pioneer. They got to be willing to deal with the uncertainty that's there. And there's probably more uncertainty in going it alone than doing it, within the realm of an organization. I can appreciate that. But the bottom line is it's the same game, and it's an inside game. So I'll ask you the question again, Melissa, and this time answer honestly and in your heart about what's really going on underneath all the circumstances, all the surface stuff that we've been talking about. Not that can't help, but the basis of all that's going to be something inside you, and you and I both agreed on that, and I honor you for your honesty and your courageousness to be willing to get into that point of order with me as well. But this is really, if you're going to have any kind of value in this conversation, it's not going to be talking about a website. It's not going to be talking about time and money. Not that those don't need to be worked out. They do. But you will work them out very powerfully if you're committed and if you're confident in the process of that commitment. That's why you asked for those things, because you didn't just come to me and say, Jeff, I just want a website. Just tell me how to do it, right? You said, I got to get this thing off the ground, and this is what it takes for me to know it's off the ground. I got to know I'm off the ground, no matter how many clients I've got, no matter what the money's doing, and no matter any of that other stuff, you know. So I'll ask you again, what's preventing you from, or what needs to change in you so that you'll have the confidence and the psychological commitment so that you'll know that you are off the ground and that you can do whatever it takes to get the business off the ground? What really needs to change in you?
I think what needs to change is to eradicate my limiting beliefs that you were referring to earlier.
Yep. And one belief that we already uncovered, even though I know you don't logically believe it, it's the knee-jerk reaction in you, is that the solution and the get off the ground is still outside of you. That it's the website or the technique or the thing or the other thing. So somewhere there's a belief that my circumstances are going to cause my commitment to this, or that, you know, first I got to wait for those things the stars to align or something like that. That's one limiting belief I think we can identify. Would you, does that sound like it holds water?
I do agree, and I really enjoyed the fact during your webinar when you were talking about getting clients without certification. And I encountered this a lot when I worked at a military base for almost 10 years, and what I saw was credentialism. In other words, I saw senior people asking for certification and asking for pieces of paper, you know, those coveted certifications.
Yes.
And in many cases, it wasn't necessary. So I'm refreshed and I'm relieved to hear that you said the same thing during your training this evening.
The power in those certifications was not in the certification. The power was in the belief that people put into that. And what we had was a bunch of people with limiting beliefs that had to follow some other pioneer leader, someone else who had the commitment and confidence to say, I don't need that permission. I know it's coming from within me. And they made, I mean, look, by the way, they probably served a lot of people who were probably never going to change their beliefs with those processes and a variety of things that they created, which is a beautiful thing. But if we want to help people that are going to have those limiting beliefs, we got to see it in ourselves and actually be willing to overcome that. So I appreciate that. Any other limiting beliefs that need to change that are actually preventing you from having the commitment and the confidence to make this thing happen?
I don't think so. I think it's really a matter, Jeff, of just digging into it, just doing it, you know.
So let's actually fully diagnose this then.
Okay.
If you have a belief that says, well, it's outside of me and I need these other things to work out in order for me to be committed or confident or whatever. First of all, you tell me, Melissa, what is the cost of that? What is because look, I mean, that belief, again, is maybe it's somewhat valid and whatever, but it's already costing you your commitment and confidence, clearly. You know, you've already, to some extent, you've already proven that. But the long-term question, see, the only reason why we hold on to a limiting belief is because in some way, shape, or form, we feel it's benefiting us. We'll get to that in a second. But the only reason why we're willing to change it, even if we don't want to change it, because somewhere that belief may even comfort you to some extent. But even if we don't want to change a belief, the reason why we'll actually change it is because we know it's going to be too painful to hold on to it. So this is the most important part of our conversation. We don't actually get to what you need to get to here. Then this was a nice intellectual discussion, right? but it was not anything that'll transform your future and your achievement and your confidence and your commitment in this as well. And that question is, what is the most painful consequence of that belief that, that, I mean, again, we're kind of paraphrasing it, but it's basically the belief that, your commitment to this business is going to be based on all the things around you and the circumstances, that you're being your circumstances versus that it's coming from within you. What is the most painful and the worst consequence, not just like next week, because next week you can probably survive this, but in the long term, what's the worst consequence, in your opinion, the most painful consequence of actually holding on to that belief, if you were to hold on to it?
I would say not being successful.
Yep. Yeah, because if you hold on to that belief, here's the thing. You might take some of the actions, and I think you will. However, long term, as you take those actions, you're going to see a lot of evidence that it's not working. You're going to see a lot of evidence that that maybe you're not cut out for this. You're going to see a lot of circumstances that are like, I don't know how, I mean, I don't even know I can do it unless that circumstance, the money, the time, the clients, the web stuff, the complexities there. You're going to see a lot of stuff that's like the circumstances are going to look insurmountable. I mean, that's predictable. Especially going into a business where you're supposed to step up and be a leader for people and attract people that want to be led by you, want to be supported, want to be helped, right? So the circumstances that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes ain't going to look too good. And when those circumstances go down there, if you hold on to the belief, even a little bit, that you're your circumstances, then you're exactly right. It will cost you your success, to put in a very, very simple terms. So I think you nailed it. And by the way, there's probably other costs to that, but let's just start with that one. I think that's good enough, especially because that's what brought us together, is, kind of this outcome, this goal. So in and of itself, logically, that makes sense and is good to know. But let me ask you this. We want to get it to the emotion of it, not just like a logical, like that would be painful to not have success, right? But what is the most painful part of that? In other words, I guess a better way of asking that is this, Melissa. How would it make you feel if you knew you could change this? You didn't. You held on to that lousy belief that your circumstances is just going to make it the way it is, and you failed because of that. You could have done it differently, but you didn't, and then you failed. What would be the worst, or you at least missed out on the success? How would it feel to miss out? What would be the most painful experience or emotion that you think, I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm just saying what would be the worst feeling that could occur as a result of that in your future?
Well, I take exception with the word failure. Again, I work in mental health, we try to avoid the word.
You can use whatever word you want. You can call it a watermelon salad, but you yourself said, this is going to cost me my success. So let's say lack of success, whatever you want to call that.
Okay. Well, I guess, and in response to that, it would be to say, I wasn't successful to my end. I didn't have a successful outcome. And then I would say to myself, okay, do I try it again? Do I rebrand? Do I retweak? Possibly. Maybe I didn't have all of the resources. Maybe the timing wasn't there.
By the way, that would be the conversation that you had if you believed it was all about that stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Maybe I wasn't,
and by the way, as you do it again and again and again and try different things, if you believe it's about those circumstances, you will probably be so busy following those circumstances that it'll never quite work out. Mm-hmm. Especially in business.
Right.
So
right.
What would be the worst? What would be the worst consequence of that? What would be the worst?
The worst consequence is that it wouldn't be a success, financial success.
Okay.
And that wouldn't be the worst thing to me, because it's better to have tried than have not tried at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what would be the worst thing to you then?
That I wasn't successful? Is that what you mean?
Well, that's what you told me, so I'm assuming that there's some part of that that is the worst thing for you about that.
I guess the worst thing would be possibly that people would view me as unsuccessful, or they wouldn't have the confidence in uh, seeking out my services. They would go elsewhere, and that possibly my brand might be maligned by the unsuccessful experience.
Okay, I get that. Okay, I'm with you. How would that make you feel?
Well, I wouldn't feel good about it, but on the other hand, I'm a very optimistic person, so it wouldn't be the end of the world to me.
Well, I mean, nobody's saying it's the end of the world, but I'm just asking how would it make you feel?
I'd feel bad at first, but then I would move on.
So here's the thing, Melissa. In this conversation, you're being very logical, and I totally respect that. And that's not going to give you the leverage to change this limiting belief. That's one of the reasons why you can hold on to it. That's one of the reasons why you're still not fully confident or committed, is because you're totally in your head about this.
Right.
And by the way, you have the ability to do that because you help people that are very emotional probably at times, and you got to stay in your head while they're freaking out. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is not the time to use that skill. Your strength in helping others, at least in that way, is your weakness in transforming yourself at this point.
Okay.
Do you get that?
I think so.
Let me put it a little differently. The only reason, like I said, you would hold on to this belief is because in some way it's benefiting you, and in some way it's not painful enough to change it. Because if it's painful enough for you, then you change it. And so this is very comfortable for you to have that belief. In fact, one of the reasons why you probably have that belief is it's like it gives you some amount of certainty. We all need a sense of certainty, a sense that we have control over our environment, that we can avoid pain and gain a certain amount of pleasure, or at least be comfortable. Right? So one of the ways to be comfortable is make sure that the things around us are comfortable. You know, in fact, they diagnose people with OCD. They have to control it like 10 times more than anybody else. But we all want to control things around us to some extent, because if we had no control over that outside ourselves, we'd probably feel a sense of uncertainty, and that'd freak us out quite a bit. So one of the ways that this belief actually benefits you, psychologically at least, is it's like it gives you a sense of certainty. There's probably some other benefits of this, but just that alone is probably enough to have you hang on to it. And so just saying, well, you know, I'd probably be okay if I didn't change this belief and it just didn't work out or whatever, well, then that's what you'll do. Because frankly, Melissa, if you can keep the certainty by depending on your circumstances and not really depending on yourself 100% and making it about, you know, like you're going to take this on for sure, then you'll do that. You'll do that because it'll get you out of probably a different type of uncertainty. Because to not actually look at, how would I put this? To take 100% responsibility for what you're going to produce, and not making it about the website, and it's not about the people, it's not about the brand and all that stuff that you were talking about. And guys, I do apologize. I know we're getting some transient noise in there. Unfortunately, I don't know that I can alter that. Here, Melissa, let me ask you to do this. If you could just turn my volume down a little bit. I don't know if, as long as you can still hear me.
Okay.
And maybe that'll help.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, again, I apologize for I'll try to turn my volume down a little bit as I'm sharing here. But the point I was making was simple. The point of the matter is that if you get certainty from this belief, and you're not willing to deal with some of getting the certainty from within yourself, or dealing with the uncertainty of not having control over these other pieces around you all the time, right now at least, or even ongoingly, then you'll probably stick with that. Because it'll be less uncomfortable, and you can be You can be comfortable about this by staying in your head and focusing on the circumstance and making it about all that stuff other than you. But number one, you know it's not true. And number two, it'll be just for the comfort, and it'll be so comfortable that you ultimately won't succeed. And then, yes, you'll be okay if that happens, because like you said, you can rise above it because you're evolved enough to be able to do that. But in order to actually create this result, you can't let that happen. If you are really committed to this, then that means that you have to let go of that way of having that certainty. You got to have another way of at least getting that certainty. By the way, let me give you another piece that is important, which is not just the benefit you get from that belief, but also the real cost of having that belief. Because like you said, like, yeah, you might fail in the future, or like you said, not succeed, but you'll make it through that. Here's what the bigger cost is that you haven't seen yet of having that belief about it being about your circumstances rather than about you, and rather than you being the source of this. The real cost of that is that is actually twofold. Number one is it allows you to be the victim of those circumstances, and it'll actually, to some extent, you miss out on being the powerful leader that you could be, because you can't be a leader when you're all about the circumstances. You still have to manage the circumstances. That's fair, right? You still got to deal with those to some extent. But if you let how you feel be based upon it, then you're not a leader. So you're missing out on being the powerful leader that you could be. You can't be a powerful leader until this belief changes. Now, you may be okay with that, but if you're going to step into this business, my guess is you probably aren't okay with that. So number one, this will cost you being a leader. This will cost your power. This will cost you your sense of strength, significance, and not necessarily ability, because I know you're able, because you have that certainty that you've done some things before. You just haven't done this before. But you need to be powerful enough as a leader to know that you can be able even when you've never done it. To be powerful when you're not powerful, so to speak. To be powerful even in the face of uncertainty. That's what you do for your clients, but that's also what you got to do for yourself in this case, and then also moving forward with the logistics in your business and those commitments in your business. So number one, you lose your power by having this belief. Number two is that if you let this be all about those circumstances, then that also disconnects you with, number one, you as the source of this business, like we talked about before, and your true purpose in this, which your purpose is not just a brand, it's not just a website, it's not just those logical things. You got to have those. We agreed on that. But the purpose of this is much deeper than that. And we haven't talked about that yet, but my feeling in you, just knowing how committed a professional you are for the people that you're already helping, is that your purpose for doing this business isn't just to arrange some mechanics around you so that it all works. Your purpose is actually something that is very heartfelt and deep for you and for the people that you'll touch. So you will not be connected to this purpose at the deepest level. You will miss out on that connection with yourself and your purpose at the deepest level when you hold on to this belief. You'll also miss out on connecting with your clients. Number one, because they won't show up if you don't succeed in this, obviously. Because if you don't succeed, then you won't have the clients, or you won't have as many clients as you could, or have as long-lived relationships as you could. The other thing that you miss out on is connecting with what you can provide them, and knowing that you were the one who delivered for them as well, in your way. So I'm not saying that you've never delivered for people. I know you have, and I'm sure you connect with your clients at as deep a level as is needed. But what you haven't yet experienced is you being the leader who created the world that these clients came into, so you have the ultimate ability to do whatever is necessary to make a difference for them, yourself, and plan out the vision that you've already seen inside your own head. That, number one, doesn't happen without you changing this belief. I think we already talked about that. But number two, what also you miss out on in the process is you miss out on your own power and leadership and sense of yourself. Because you lose yourself when you start buying into this whole story about the circumstances. And then you also lose the connection with yourself in the short term of being that leader, knowing who you are. And then you also lose the connection of anybody that you could connect with and touch as you're attracting those clients. Not to mention, the moment that you stop buying into the circumstance argument and that whole belief, even the people that you help tomorrow, or even the people that you help next week when you're connecting in your current occupation, the person that you are will be more deeply seated and connected with who you know yourself to be. And that connection you have with yourself will provide a deeper contribution to them. And by the way, you'll feel that from them, as I'm sure you've probably felt at certain times in your practice before as well. So those are the things that you didn't mention that you'll miss out on. That's not about some mechanical success, although that'll cause that too, or failure, as I'm calling it. But you'll also miss out on your own sense of yourself, the leader that you really are deep down, and your own connection with yourself at the deepest level, and the connection with the clients that you haven't even met with. You miss out on all those things when you play this game, this circumstance game. So I may be wrong about all of this, some of it, or none of it. I don't know. Melissa, you tell me, like, what part of this sounds accurate to you? Does any of this sound like it rings true or like it resonates for you? Is it all, I mean, tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong.
It certainly resonates, Jeff, and I'm just wondering, I'm making copious notes here, and it sounds very accurate. And you're making a lot of references to my belief. So are you referring to my own predisposed limiting beliefs in succeeding? Is that what you're alluding to?
Well, you were talking about the whole, like, all the circumstances, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah. When you said...
There are other beliefs that are probably even deeper than that we haven't talked about, but just the buying into the circumstances, we're talking about the consequences of that, absolutely.
Okay. My limiting belief that I'm not confident enough to think of myself as a leader, is that what you mean?
Well, I didn't say that, but now I think we've gotten to the limiting belief that the whole thing around the circumstances covers up.
Okay.
So let's clarify this. See, if you believe that you don't have the power to be a leader, then it would actually be a safer belief to talk about and an easier belief to look at as, like, I need a website, I need this, I need that, I need all these circumstances around me, because they can make up for that and maybe cause the success. And if it didn't work out, it wasn't you that failed. It was the circumstances that just didn't work out. So you never actually have to face your own limiting belief or your own pain of not being enough or not being powerful enough or not being strong enough. So that makes a lot of sense.
I do believe that I'm a leader. There's no doubt about that.
Well, then why wouldn't you just step up and lead then? Why all this conversation about the circumstances?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not about the circumstances. This is about the reason why you focus on that. Why else would you focus on all the circumstances? And by the way, really, this is really important for you to be dirt honest with me at this point and yourself to serve you and the clients that you'll touch. Because some logical, like, well, it's just I need to do those things. That's like, number one, that wouldn't be true. Number two, that wouldn't be fair to what needs to transform. It's more than just I got to do some circumstances and that's the only thing limiting me.
Yes.
So what does that cover up that you did not want to say when we first got on this conversation? And by the way, it's not logical, right? So you can, like, know better logically, but when you ask yourself, well, okay, if it wasn't my circumstances what was stopping me, like, what could it be, or what could that cover up that I don't really want to say, I don't want to admit, I don't want to deal with? Whatever it is that kind of pops up in your head, I'm not saying that's absolutely it, but it'll probably lead us to it if it's not it. But it's not something you want to tell me. And, I mean, again, it's not something you want to share with, 28 people on the webinar either, but that's exactly why you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it?
No, I think no, I think it goes back to the circumstances, and I hear what you're saying. So it's a matter of making a commitment to myself and to the business.
Stop. Whoa. So notice that you didn't answer the question I asked. I asked, what does the whole thing about circumstances cover up that you don't want to admit? The actual limiting belief. And I don't know if it's that you don't really think you're a leader or have the power or not. I don't know. I mean, that's what you said originally, but then you said you are a leader, right? So I don't know if that's it or not. But if I cannot allow you to go back to the circumstances and talk about like what you should do instead yet, because if all we do is have a nice positive conversation about positive psychology right now, you're not going to get to the reality of what's actually limiting you in this conversation. And we will have literally, and maybe this is not the right technical term, but we will have misdiagnosed what's actually challenging you at this time of starting your business. And if we misdiagnose you, any solution we discuss doesn't help you. It's not that it's bogus. It's probably a good thing to talk about. But it's like we didn't transform what really needed to transform. And again, and Melissa, if there's any discomfort in this conversation, I'm totally sensitive to it, and I appreciate the fact that you're still kind of hanging with me in this. But I got to serve you now. And part of the way that I got to serve you is by calling you on going back to the logic and the positive and all that kind of stuff. This is not to say this has got to be some ugly thing. But it's guaranteed that whatever it is that is limiting you is something that you either haven't shared or that you do not want to share. And I know that even more now because as I've asked you to share it, you've kind of gone back to the other discussion that we've already agreed is really not what's going on. So what is it? What does that whole thing cover up that's really, like what's really going on here that is stopping you? Or that you at least feel could be stopping you, that you don't want to say, and that is not fun to share, or not at least you don't even want to look at.
No, I think we've covered it, Jeff, with the limiting belief and going back to the confidence in that. It's the limiting belief that comes within myself.
Okay, well, you tell me what it is then.
Like you were alluding to the discomfort and dissonance, as we call it, in stages of change. Okay. For any change to happen.
All right, so just tell me in English, in simplest, most guttural terms, what do you mean?
Well, I guess I have some dissonance, so some discomfort. And there has to be a level of discomfort in order for a change to happen in myself. And that discomfort is just telling myself that I need to do some things in the next month to move things forward. Do I feel comfortable with that? Not totally, but I want to and I need to do that.
Right, and the reason why you feel uncomfortable with it is what, really? That the circumstance thing covers up. This is what you're covering up.
Right. Yeah, and I've already mentioned about the circumstances. So the time, the money, and you were referring to social proof earlier in your webinar.
Right, no, let me stop you there. So you don't have to go over all the stuff we talked about. What you need to do is share what are you covering up with all that is really stopping you?
What am I covering up? That's a good question.
Yeah, and you know this, by the way. This is not a mystery. It's just something that you got to say. Like, this is just you needing to say it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm covering up or anything. I'm being honest with you. I really am.
I'm not saying you're being dishonest, but you are. But there is a cover-up happening here. That's exactly why we're having this conversation. That's exactly I'm glad you shared that. By the way, that's part of the reason why you haven't gotten to the actual limiting belief yet. Is because what you're saying and what you're putting forward is, I'm not covering anything up. and by the way, as a professional, you know this as well. It's like there's layers to us, right? You don't have to be a liar to cover stuff up. You just have to put one thing in front, like the foreground, and what that does is it keeps us from having to look at whatever would really be uncomfortable for us, whatever would really cause the real change, whatever would really have us step up and take responsibility and take a real risk.
Well, I guess that would be it. I wouldn't call it fear on my part, but I guess it's the cover-up is whether I want to take the risk. I think that's what it is.
And what would you really be risking if you gave it your all? Because like you said, you could fail and you'd be okay. So that ain't the risk for you. What's the real risk for you?
I guess the risk would be
that you really are concerned about. That really is, you call it, you're stressed about, fear about, whatever. But what is
what others would think of me?
You don't want to risk. You don't want to deal with.
What others would think of me online, I guess.
You got it. That's exactly right. And if others thought bad of you, then what would that mean? That would be painful for you.
It would. I was just thinking of the word painful, actually. Yes.
Yeah. What would that mean that would make it painful for you?
And
again, I know you know better. Like you tell your client, yeah, but that doesn't mean that. But that's the thing that makes it hurt.
I would lose credibility.
You wouldn't use those clinical words that would make it painful.
Well, if people lost, if they didn't believe in me, they would lose credibility, and
what would that mean
credibility
about you? What would that mean about you that would be so painful?
No, I really pride myself on my reputation on and offline, so that would be painful if people thought my credibility was in tatters.
Yeah, but why? Why is that so
because
important?
That comes from my own values.
Why are you placing that above your vision and your mission? Because you can't value what people think of you and your reputation above your purpose, or else you will sacrifice your purpose so that people think well of you.
Right.
So now we've gotten to the cost of that value system. But again, the real question is why? Why would you value what people think of you above like what's obviously not just very important, it's obviously a major goal for you.
It is, yes. Why would I? Because well, it's what I do professionally, really. Being a professional counselor in my field.
Okay. So who would you what would be the big if you lost credibility, what would be the biggest cost of that would be so painful for you?
Well, the biggest cost would be I wouldn't have any future clients or possibly current clients.
Okay. But I think didn't you say that wasn't, I mean, is that so bad? I mean, I thought that like the finances and that stuff, it's like you could get over that.
Well, I could get over that, sure, but
what's the part that you don't quite feel that you could get over, and why?
I guess reputation really means a lot. You know, that's a value of mine.
What does it mean? What's the most important thing that it means to you that makes it so painful or pleasurable, depending on which way it goes?
It's part of my brand.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means that, in my mind, I'm a leader in my field.
And if people didn't like you, you're not a leader anymore.
I'm not sure.
Now notice, like, you didn't say, well, yeah, definitely I wouldn't be a leader, but you can hear the conflict there. That's where the uncertainty lies for you, Melissa. Mm-hmm. It's like, right now, you know you're a leader. Like, let me ask you this. How certain are you that you're a leader in your field currently, on a 0 to 10?
I would say 8.
Okay, so like an 8. So you've got this, and we talked about this a little bit before when we talked about kind of the logic side. Your strength becomes your weakness. You're so strong right now, and how significant you are in this industry. Out of 0 to 10 and an 8, that gives you a lot of sense of, we have different words for it, but a sense of pride, power, significance. Like there's something I matter, I'm important, etc. Different words, different similar experience. And you know that you have that currently. Now here's the rub, if you go out in this new thing and it's different and you don't know exactly how it's going to go, it's unpredictable, and you're not well thought of, whether it be at first or at the end or whatever, then bottom line is that 8 could be threatened. It doesn't even have to go down that much. It's so strong for you right now that any loss of that or any chance of loss of that would be extremely uncertain and extremely painful. Tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong.
It would be painful. I don't know about extremely painful, but it would be painful, yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So here's the coaching on this one.
Okay.
In order for you to retain that significance that you get from your current gig,
right.
You've put this whole thing around the circumstances to try to be in control of that. Much of that is probably a good thing logistically, but what it covers up is the limiting belief that if I'm not well thought of, then I wouldn't be important, or I wouldn't feel worthy, or I wouldn't feel powerful or strong or something like that. It's basically significance. We all have these needs. You might have different words for them, but the bottom line is we all need to feel like we're something special in some way, shape, or form. And somewhere you've got and again, I know you know better logically, but somewhere your belief is, if I'm not well thought of here, especially in this industry, I won't feel good about myself. It's real simple. And like you said, I know you feel good about yourself enough such that wouldn't kill you, but it's also enough for you to lose confidence and not be fully committed to this. Because if you fully commit to this, then you're going to risk that. Is this making sense, at least logically?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Really good. Now, I'm sure there's other fears around that. I mean, obviously there's finances and stuff like that. But for you, the most important piece that you care about is not the money and it's not the business. It's the reputation and the relationships and how people see you, because it impacts how you feel about yourself at some level.
Absolutely.
All right. So that was a congruent response, guys. Hopefully you guys heard that. I know we've been kind of bouncing back and forth around this. It's like, okay, is that really it? Or I'm not sure if that's going to be as intense as Jeff is about this, but that was a pretty intense response. Absolutely. So we could see that how people think and how good you feel about yourself, there is definitely an impact there. Now, part of that's a circumstance thing, and again, you can rise above that, but you don't have to rise above that until and unless you take this risk, until you go all out and commit, until you just decide to be confident. And so in order to avoid that risk, which is a significant risk, it's a psychological risk. In order to avoid that, you play this game of doing the circumstance thing and not dealing with that limiting belief. And my coaching for you is that the circumstance thing, yes, you want to deal with that, but the most important belief for you to change here is, if people don't think well of me, I'm not important, or I'm not worthy, or I can't feel good about myself. Like that, and again, I know you know that's not true, but emotionally speaking, it is true for you at some level. And if you continue to believe that, there's huge consequences. Number one, in this business, it won't be successful. And number two is that you'll never know the deepest level of who you are. Because if you get to the point where you're willing to confront that fear, you will experience the full expression of who you can be. You can't do that until you get through that, until you push through that. And the way to start that process, truly start that process, is not just to put some things in order and do some logistical steps. The first start of that process is know that no matter what anybody thinks of me, I know I'm an 8 out of 10, I'm a 9 out of 10, I'm a 20 out of 10. You really do believe that no matter what I think of you, or no matter what some client thinks of you, or even people in the industry thinks of you, that you are a worthy person and you're a strong person and you should feel good about yourself and deserving of as high a sense of worthiness as anybody else on this planet. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
Okay. So now you get to prove that. Now you get to live that. Because you don't have to confront that. You don't have to be that so solidly in your heart without actually having it be threatened to some extent. Even if it never really gets threatened by like people around you, because you probably never even get close to losing credibility or something like that. But you still have to confront the risking of it and let go of your stranglehold on that you have right now. And by the way, not to say that you had that at the beginning, but if you're 15 years in an industry and you've been given accolades and awards and appreciation and clients that, you know, believe in you and employers that believe in you and an industry that believes in you, it's kind of hard to walk away from that even a little and say, I'm just going to believe in me. I don't need anybody else to today. You know, and I know you do, or else we wouldn't even have this conversation, but you need to have that at a level that you haven't yet demonstrated. And you need to give up the fear of losing those vehicles for the significance of other people around you and have you be the number one vehicle. And it'll still be great to have accolades from others, but it'll be more important in this business and for yourself personally at this stage in your life where you really have so much more to give and it's just a more personal gift that you have the ability to have it solely from yourself. And you're willing to take that on. What do you think?
Words well said. Very, very refined words. I truly appreciate it.
What did you get from that conversation? Like, what did you see in what I just said, or what is it that? Yeah. Just first of all, just what did you get? What is the most important? The most important distinction or insight that has come out of this conversation so far? I'm just curious, just from your perspective.
I'm making notes here. The authentic, I can't say
it's not in your notes.
I think being authentic is so key, and really dialing it down and digging deeply into those, you know, those limiting beliefs that we all have, you know,
yes.
And really diagnosing the negative self-talk that we have. You know, we supposedly have 6,000 thoughts a day, and most of those thoughts are negative. And challenging them, and so I do you know, a lot of the work that you just did with me in the last 40 minutes or so is what I do, and
yes.
It was kind of a diagnosis of myself, and also bringing to the surface you know, what's really authentic about me, and I truly appreciated the experience.
Melissa, what's really cool about what you're about to achieve, if you choose to, is that it's a chance to be that authentic self that you already know yourself to be, like we just talked about, basically. And all it takes to confront that is I mean, sure, other things will come up, but right now, what's come to the surface, probably most importantly, is just that inauthentic limitation that's not you. You know, that like you're not somebody who needs somebody else to approve of in order to feel good about herself, in order to be a leader and step up and be powerful. It's just that
Thank you.
that even that having that thought, like you said, like the limiting self-talk, if you let that thought live, then the rest of this dies. The mission,
yes,
the vision,
that's right.
and your experience of that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so only one of these can live. And so let me ask you this. Knowing that, what are you going to do?
I'm just going to do it. I'm thinking of that Nike commercial. Just do it.
Really, really good. So let me give you a little coaching on something on top of that, because I think you were going to do that before. I think this is just going to help you accelerate it and make sure that as you face the challenges, that you get stronger as the challenges get bigger, versus any kind of shrinking or any kind of like logical mitigation of them. And that is this: just remember that. Just remember that if that limiting belief of other people don't think well of me, I don't look good to them, that I wouldn't be worthy, or I wouldn't be okay, or I'm not good enough, or something like that. You could use your own words. We're paraphrasing here. That anytime that comes up, that you remember two things. Number one is that any energy you give to that kills off this dream, this vision, and the contribution that you could be to yourself and others. And number two, that when you see that you immediately remind yourself of who you really are, and don't let that belief dictate your focus. Don't let that belief dictate your focus on, well, I just got to turn this dial here and make the circumstances better. Although you can do that too. Let the focus go to what really matters, which is you know who you are, and you know you can do this. Because nobody needs to approve or appreciate or believe in you other than you. Are you willing to do that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so again, it's two simple things. Number one, just notice what if that ever comes up, or when it may be driving the action, so to speak. And the first thing to do is you got to get leverage on yourself, just meaning know the pain that would happen if you still allow that to dominate things. And then number two is to remind yourself of what's really true. Like you said, it's the authentic self that you really are.
Awesome.
Melissa, I appreciate you taking the time and the energy here. I know we went around and around a couple times, and I'm really excited to see what you do, that you were already going to do, but also beyond that, the expression of the authentic person that you are, and the powerful leader that you are, that is going to manifest in this new business. So really fantastic, and it's an honor to have had the time with you tonight to have this conversation.
Thank you. I've been honored too, and I'm going to tweet my progress to you, and I hope I didn't take up too much time in your webinar, and I'm really enjoying your course, truly. Thank you so much.
Really great. You got it, Melissa. And so guys, a couple takeaways from that conversation. Chances are, if you know anything about psychology or personal development, or any other modality of helping yourself or others, or change or transformation, chances are you heard a lot of basics in there, like looking at the beliefs, understanding the conversation that's really going on, the basics of where to focus and what actions to take. I mean, this is all the mechanics, right? And most of us can kind of deal with that stuff, or we should be able to, and we want to get better at it, obviously. But what was most important in that conversation was getting to the reality and getting past the surface of what the presented problem supposedly was. Because whenever you talk to a client, you could get to this in 2 minutes, or you can get to this in 15 minutes or 50 minutes. It doesn't matter. But whatever they share the limitation is, or the problem is, or the challenge is never the problem. Because if it was, they already would have handled it, because they knew. That was the thing they presented. That meets the needs of our ego. That keeps us safe. That is the thing we talk about to our friends about the circumstances, or this or that, or whatever. Whatever the surface is. And the most important thing you can do, one of the most important things, no matter what type of coaching you're doing with somebody, to really help them make a difference and make the change that they need to make, is have them get to what's really going on, the real challenge. And sometimes that means you being a bit of a detective with them. Sometimes that means just confronting them on it and holding them accountable for getting to what's real and not letting them go back to the surface representation, no matter how valid it may seem. Because that's what Melissa did to some extent, is share the circumstances. That was all in her head. That was all logic. That was not why she didn't have confidence at times. That was not why she at times wasn't committed or hasn't committed psychologically yet. What was it? The source of that had nothing to do with all the logical stuff. Had everything to do with the fear, or whatever word she would use, and specifically was a belief around what people think and what that meant about her and how that would feel. Now, that may not be it for you, but we all have them. And it's just a question of knowing what those are, transforming them, and knowing. The second thing we had to do in that conversation, by the way, other than just diagnosing accurately, was actually realizing and having Melissa, and this is for your client as well, or yourself as well, is getting clear about the ultimate and the most dire consequences of maintaining that belief, maintaining that limitation, allowing that limitation to kill off, like in this example, it was the vision, the future, and not to mention the belief, the authentic leader and belief in herself that Melissa already knew was there. It just hadn't been confronted and manifested fully. And it couldn't be because that limitation, she let that limitation stay in place. She's not going to let that limitation stay in place anymore because she's identified it. She was willing to be honest about that conversation and then break through the clinical side of it and get to, here's what I'm going to do about it, which is a really beautiful thing. And that's exactly what it is that you learn to do and master doing in the process of any of our trainings. Hopefully that helped. And hopefully it was an example of what's possible with your clients as well. So I'm going to share a little bit about the coach certification training now. And I'm going to share, first of all, I'm just going to talk about a little bit about how does it work. Now, I did promise a couple things at the beginning of this webinar. Number one, I promised that I would share how you can get the slides and the recording of this webinar. I'm going to share that as soon as we get to the end of this last piece. Okay, so I promise we're about to get there. And then number two, I also promised I was going to answer any of your questions that you have. I know there are some questions that have already been shared in the chat. So my request for you is to save those, and you're going to retype those in at the end when we get to Q&A, so I can, I don't have to go all the way back to the questions that were there before. But I promise I'm going to answer the questions that you shared on the blog and the questions also that come up in the chat at the end of this experience that we're getting towards right now. So how does the coach certification work, first of all? I want to give you a sense of just like how we built it and how it actually produces the promise of actually, number one, learning the skills you need to learn as a coach, and number two, building the business that you need to build as a coach as well. So first of all, we already talked about certifications. I'm not in love with just the concept of having to get a certification for certification's sake. So the coach certification training was designed very differently than most any other certification that you'll find available by the kind of the certification factories. Whereas most certifications take quite a while to gain, I wanted to put together a certification that you can actually receive quickly. You can do this fast. Wanted to put it together such that it's inexpensive for you. And then finally, one that's really the best possible training and certification that you can gain, at least in this amount of time. And then finally, once you can do this, again, inexpensively and quickly, you can then start and launch. You can get going and start gaining clients and getting paid to coach and getting experience that is important for any more advanced certification that you decide to get. If you want to make that additional investment, or beyond that, just decide to expand your business. We find a lot of students of ours, once we certify them, even at a basic level, that they tend to focus on just making a difference for tons of people and continue to expand from there, because there's no question of their credibility, like I said before. So that's the outcome here, to do this fast, to do this inexpensively, and to have the best training possible so you can get out there, launch your business, and start coaching immediately. So this happens in stages. This isn't just like a one-stop process. There are several things that happen over a short period of time. And the first stage is preparation stage. And during preparation stage, you will get access to 6 hours of preliminary video training to prepare you for certification. This actual certification training in and of itself is actually a fairly compact period of time. We'll talk about that in a second. So in order to get the most from that process, you really need to be prepared. And it takes 6 hours of preliminary video training to get you ready for the certification experience that you'll have when you come join us on site for the live trainings that we provide. You'll also take 2 assessments. We'll actually show you how we use these assessments to get results with clients during the certification process. We have a psychographic profiling tool that we use with all of our clients. These are used in the largest businesses that we coach, the largest businesses in the world. We use these tools to actually coach the managers and the executives and among other consulting outcomes. And so we'll show you how we use these tools with our corporate coaching clients. And we have another tool that we use with all our clients to help you show how we can shift someone in terms of any area of their life or business, very, very quickly once we get the answers to some of these questions that are done in the other assessment tool that we show you how to use. You'll also get access to an orientation webinar to answer all the questions that you might have before you actually come to our on-site certification as well. Then we move on to the training stage. This is one that we've altered quite a bit since last year. I'm really excited to share with you some of the improvements that we've made. So first of all, this training stage actually takes place either in San Diego or in Orlando, different times in the year. If you're going to do the one in May, it's in San Diego. The one in November is in Orlando. The one in Orlando we actually do on the Walt Disney World campus at one of the resort hotels. It's literally with an eye shot of Epcot and Magic Kingdom and all the cool places at Disney World. So it's a really cool place to do a kind of highly transformative certification experience like this. So you can either come to one of our on-site certification trainings, or now we have virtual training available. So you can actually get your full certification through a virtual training process that we've built. This is brand new. We've never done this before. And so I'm really excited. So if you do not, have the resources or the time or whatever to join us on site, which I highly recommend that you do. It's the best way to experience this, in my opinion. You can actually go through the entire training process virtually, and we have also a process to make sure that you gain the same level of skill as those that attend the on-site certification trainings in San Diego and Orlando. And then finally, there's the transformation stage. This happens before certification. This is an optional stage, but I highly recommend it. The transformation stage, in my opinion, is so important because if you're going to step into this leadership role, just kind of like we talked to Melissa about tonight, transformation is required. I mean, you're going to need to transform yourself from time to time, whether it be facing the business or the leading of your clients, or a combination of that approach, or the finances, or something. There are some places where you're going to get stopped. I mean, it's not the simplest or the easiest business in the world. This is a business for leaders, and so leaders got to consistently take themselves to the next level and transform themselves. And we actually have a stage in certification training called the transformation stage. And the transformation stage is a highly intense process that we've honed over the years, that actually allows you to program yourself with the mindset, the beliefs, the thought processes, and the focus of a master coach who's running and building as large a coaching business or coaching empire that you choose. And this is a very personalized process. It's not something that's like cookie cutter. It's not just a bunch of affirmations or something like that. We actually look at and diagnose exactly what and I'll get a little technical here, what the limiting beliefs are that are in your way of the level of achievement that you need to achieve in your coaching and your coaching business, and then actually identify the alternative beliefs, and then go into a very intense process of reprogramming, so to speak, the old beliefs out and the new beliefs in. It's kind of reinstalling the right software to run the program. And if you want, to achieve a coaching business or any higher level in most businesses for that matter, no improvement that really matters in life or in business, especially in leadership, happens without a corresponding change within the inner game. Hopefully we can all agree on that. This transformation stage is there to provide that for you as the master coach. And then finally, after all of this, you enter into certification stage. And certification stage is this is more the celebration of what you've achieved by this fourth stage. Because in certification stage, this is a chance not only just to receive your certificate and know that you've accomplished what you've accomplished in these prior stages, but also really to be celebrated by your peers, by other coaches, by your family and friends. And we literally, on our on-site trainings, you can invite as many family and friends and other people around you as possible to join in and actually celebrate and watch you get certified. Because certification it can be a nice personal thing that you achieved it, that you got your certificate. But it's also a publication. It's a public moment where your community sees that you've become this coach that you now are. And so we actually do it in a community process. It's a process of actually your community recognizing you as a certified coach. And it's the funniest thing. I mean, even the people that are the least needing of someone else's acceptance or appreciation or recognition, they tend to become the coach that they really can be when we go through the certification stage. So it's not just a lot of fun and a chance to get acknowledged for who you are as this coach. It's also a place where you're finally going public and revealing yourself as a certified coach to your community, to the world. And it's one of the most impactful things I think happen during certification training. So how do you enroll? Now that we've talked about the process here, how do you enroll? Well, first of all, obviously when we're talking about enrollment, we do need to talk about the tuition here. So let's just get that right out of the way. We talked about what's included, the video preliminary trainings, the on-site trainings, the virtual trainings, the psychographic profiling and assessment tools, the certification process, and the orientations that happen around this. All these things are available to you, not at your normal, what you'd expect, $2,500 for a certification that a lot of certification factories provide. We actually even do trainings that are quite a bit more expensive than $2,500, and it's not even going to be $1,000. It's not going to be $750. If you decide during this launch, during our enrollment period, before enrollment ends or before our slots are filled, to sign up for our certification training, you can get in for $399. That's our tuition for certification training. Now, that includes, as I mentioned, 2 full days of intensive training, 6 hours of preliminary videos, 2 strategic assessments, and your certification, among other things that I just couldn't fit on this slide. However, if you really want to go beyond this and get started powerfully with tremendous momentum, I highly recommend the premium program that I put together. And that includes some other things. And the premium programming also includes the Quick Start Coaching Code program. Now, if you've already done the Quick Start Coaching Code, chances are you have access to certification anyway. But if you don't, the Quick Start Coaching Code is one of the most important things that you can have access to. This is a home study course that gives you access to getting your business started and getting the basics of coaching under your belt, even before you attend our certification training, which is actually a relatively advanced training compared to the Quick Start foundational courses. We also provide 30 days of live coaching through that Quick Start process to support you, to give you momentum, to help you support you in the strategies in your business and your coaching, and make sure that you really get into action with everything you need to get into action for to get your business started and start coaching. I also will have a one-on-one orientation call with you to help you personalize the premium program for you and kind of put together the curriculum such that they work for you. This also includes over 845 pages of training manuals that really coincide with the Quick Start Coaching Code that you'll have as a reference once you're through the courses. And you'll be able to download all the videos. There's about 20 videos included in the Quick Start program. You'll be able to download those to your computer, so you'll be able to use those and have access to those for life. Now, this premium package is available for 4 payments of $249. And then there's also the paid in full package. And the paid in full package, I'm going to give you a cash discount, but I'm also going to give you a couple extra bonuses. The first bonus, this is really the most important bonus that I'm going to share. There's some other kind of confidential bonuses I'm not going to talk about tonight. The first bonus is the Master Coach DVD course. This is an 18 DVD home study course. It also includes 1,000 pages of reference workbook for you. And these are advanced trainings. There are 6 DVDs that cover what we call Master Coach Skills trainings. These are the more advanced disciplines that we teach in Master Coach University that you'll learn within 6 DVDs. And then there's 12 DVDs that cover what I call the Master Coach Internet Marketing trainings. And this is really every little piece that you need to understand and skill that you need to master in order to take your business to market on the internet and actually generate clients from it. And I don't have time to go over every single bonus, but if you pay for the premium package in full, you'll save a couple $100. It's $7.99 paid in full. And again, this includes 18 DVDs. You'll get instant MP3 and video downloads of those DVDs as well. So you'll be able to access those online immediately, even before the DVDs arrive at your door. You'll get, like I said, 1,000 pages of reference workbooks that go along with each DVD. Each DVD has a chapter in this workbook that's dedicated just to that DVD, where we have step-by-step assignments that we cover. And then finally, you'll also receive, this is just one of several bonuses that I just don't have time to talk about tonight. You'll receive a coaching business in the box that covers all of your paperwork and your intake packages, your assessments, the legalities and the sign-up agreements that we use in our coaching practice, and we advise that most of our students use in theirs as well. All this is included in the premium paid in full program. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee for any of these programs. Try it out, see the results for yourself. If for any reason you're not completely thrilled, within 30 days is kind of your trial period, so to speak. Just let me know, let us know, and we'll just refund every penny of your investment on the spot, no questions asked. I want to make sure this is, number one, a no-brainer for you, and that we were talking about risk earlier. I don't want you to feel that there's any risk for you here. It's just a matter of you testing it out and seeing that this stuff works. In other words, you're getting coaching clients within 30 days. You're getting the results you want within 30 days. You see that we have the materials and the program that you need to really launch this coaching business and coaching practice within 30 days, or you just don't pay. I don't want you to pay if you don't feel this program is the perfect one for you for the investment that you're making. So again, you can either do the basic coach certification training for $3.99. That'll get you access to everything you see here. Or you can have the premium package for 4 payments of $249, which gives you access to the Quick Start program, the 30-day boot camp, and orientation conversation with me. Or if you pay in full for $7.99, you'll also receive everything you see here, which includes the Master Coach DVD course and the 1,000-page workbook. So once again, hopefully this kind of puts it all in one slide for you. The coach certification training, $3.99, premium package for $249, 4 payments, $249, or the premium package pay in full for $7.99, which also includes the DVD course and everything else. Obviously, every kind of higher level package includes everything in the package before it. One other thing, and I just wanted to give this to you just because you stayed on for almost 3 hours with me in this webinar. If you call me tonight, I'm going to make myself available tonight, even though we're not yet open for registration in the certification training. If you call me tonight and you're ready to rock and roll, I'm going to actually give you the paid in full premium package, even if you opt just for the payment program. So in other words, you can get the entire Master Coach DVD course, all the downloads, a 1,000-page workbook, all the advanced work that we do, and the Quick Start program, and the orientation process with me, and the entire certification training for $7.99 if you got it, or $249, 4 payments, $249. You'll get all of that as well, just as well as for those that paid in full. That's only tonight. So if you're watching this on the replay, I apologize. It's this is no longer available. You need to pay in full, or you can get the other package. But if you call me tonight, I will make that available to you as well. So if you're ready, you can contact me, and don't call me yet because we're still on the webinar. But I'm going to give you my number, and I'll be available for another about half hour tonight. I'll stay up late with you. If you have any questions, feel free. You can ask me as well. Just give me a call, 858-707-5920. That's 858-707-5920. Or you can wait until we open. That's okay too. If you want to, there's more details I can give you once we open up, because we're preparing a video that provides like every little detail just in that video. But if this sounds like it's for you, then you just have a question or two, just call me up. I'll answer your questions. And if it sounds like it's the right fit, we'll just get the ball rolling and we'll make it happen. Finally, as I promised, if you want to get the slides and the full video recording of this webinar, just make sure you're opted in for the webinar, really. So you may already have gone to this page. If not, just go there and put in your email address, and I'm going to be sending you this out within about a day or so, depending on the technical side. Let me just make sure. Hold on. All right. Let me go back to our slide here. There we go. So if you just go to this page, and in fact, I think I'm already there. There it is. Just this page, Coach Certification Training /online-coaching-business-webinar. I'll just type it in the chat. Just make sure you log in there. Just click this little button, and you fill out your email, and I'll email you the slides and the replay of this webinar as well. So. And then finally, Q&A. There are a couple questions about the certification training, so I'm going to answer those first just really quickly, and then I'm going to answer any other questions that you put on the chat, and then also answer the questions that came through on the blog. So let's see. First question was... Sorry, I'm trying to scroll back here. Can you issue me live coaching on this call like this lady? Portia, I apologize. That kind of took up our time, but feel free to email me if you've got something you want some support with, and I'll see if I can support you as well. Let's see. Donna asks, is PayPal the best way to handle payment from clients? No, not really. The best way to handle payment from clients is to have a merchant account. PayPal, generally speaking, unless you're really like an expert with PayPal, it's really hard to set up and get approved for residual payments. And then all of a sudden, it's basically like getting written. Like in order to get paid by your client, they have to, do something every month to pay you, and it just doesn't work. So PayPal is a good option to have, but it is nowhere near ideal. If it's all you got up front, then okay, but you need to get a merchant account really, and be able to take credit cards, ideally. And there's different ways you can do that. I think Square.com, you can sign up for an account where you can actually have an online vehicle to charge cards that works better than PayPal in that respect. And there's other options as well, but really, this is a business. All businesses have merchant accounts. Just get a merchant account, and that will be the best thing you've ever done to get paid in this business. You want to make sure that, I guess the bottom line I'm trying to share here is that you want to make sure that that you're in control of getting paid, with PayPal and with checks and with all this stuff, you're not in control of getting paid. Your customer has to take an action, and what if they just don't feel like it? Then all of a sudden you don't eat that month, right? So a merchant account sets it up such that, obviously you have to have integrity around this and have ethics, but if your client made an agreement to pay X per month, you charge them each month, and you're not waiting around for them to say, yeah, go ahead and charge me. And sometimes you can make exceptions in that way. If your client, needs to make sure they got money in their account or something, that's fine. But that's really what you need to do. Let's see. When you start out, should you focus on one type of coaching and then expand out? Not usually. I know a lot coaches have coaches really love niches because it's almost like this solution to them attracting clients. It's like, if I just get a niche, it'll all work out perfectly. And it's not to say that's completely untrue. Having a niche can be helpful, but generally speaking, my generic advice for getting started is to coach anybody that'll let you coach them, and coach every way you can and every way you know how, and then narrow it over time. You'll find your specialty more authentically, in a more organic process, and generally you'll even find it faster and more profitably if you just start by just coach however you can coach and whoever you can coach, and you'll discover your niche rather than trying to pick one. Usually when a coach tries to pick a niche, they just pick wrong. Now, with that said, we talked about the mega niches, the money, finances, and business, health, and wellness and fitness, and love and relationships. Those three mega niches. You can pick one of those, and you'll still have plenty of people to coach in any community, and that's okay. But just don't go too narrow, and don't try to be too clever about it. Like I coach, retired women on finding another career in basket weaving, in Zimbabwe. It's like, you don't need to be that obscure right now, and that's not that helpful. There is a time to do that. There's a time to get into more narrow focuses, and when you're starting, it is generally not the time. Now, if you are a marketing expert and you are already a successful direct marketer, that is the one exception, because you know exactly how to size up a niche and research it and choose it. And we teach people to do that in these trainings as well. Internet Coaching Client Machine Retreat is starting in a week or two, and we teach our students exactly how to do that direct marketing approach so they can choose a niche right off the bat. But if you don't know how to do that, you're more dangerous than helpful to your own business by trying to, be overly clever about it. When I first got started, I was lucky enough to know that I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so I just said, I'm not going to put any constraints on who I'm going to coach. I know I can coach. It's just a question of how am I going to get clients. So I'm just going to do everything I can with everyone I can in every way I can to get clients. And it worked out very, very well. And now I know much easier ways to get clients, but that was only after getting trained on those elements and getting help with those elements. Since I didn't know how to do it at first, I just did it the simplest way possible, and that can work too. And if that's what you got to do, that's what I would do. Let's see. I think Don asked a couple more questions here. I'll answer those while I'm on your question. There is no legal certification on coaching, is there? You have to check within your own state, because generally that seems to be left up to the states as to some legality of needing to be certified. But as long as you're not claiming to be a therapist or some type of licensed practitioner of whatever, you can say, look, I'm a coach, because a coach is not currently a technical and legal term. You can, if you give good advice, you can call yourself a coach. I was just last night I was watching that show, The Voice. They, the star Shakira's on there, and Usher, and these music stars, and they basically a glorified Star Search, and they listen to singers, and then they help them be good singers, right? And there's kind of a competition. Well, they call themselves coaches. They're not licensed, right? That's not a really a legal term for the most part. Coaching is a process. Anybody can learn to do it within 5 minutes. Now, you may not be a master of it within that time, but you can at least start the process. And any expertise you bring to the table there, that's great. So I don't see an issue there. And, you just got to check within your own local area if there's any legalities to it. But chances are there's not. None that I'm aware of in the States. There are no set standards on the certification. No, there are not. Thank you for asking that, Donna. There are no set standards at this time. There are standards that the coaching communities have adopted to some extent, but frankly, a lot of those are flat out limiting and, in my opinion, are narrow-minded as well. It's not that they can't be helpful, but I see more coaches that are taking on the standard of the current coaching community and them limiting their way that they can make a difference for people versus actually that being helpful as well. So it's just it's dangerous ground to go on looking for the current standards, because the current standards are, if you look at the history of coaching, most of those standards were stolen from, I hate to say it, Scientology, which was stolen from, and then Landmark Education, the EST, Werner Erhard stole that stuff, and then Thomas Leonard stole that stuff from EST and created the ICF, and it's a mess, and it's only one way of helping people, and it's a great way. It's a way that I've mastered, and it's a way that we actually teach to some extent in our trainings, but it's only one. So literally 1/3 of what it is that we teach our coaches is basically what the coaching community is rallying around is the only way to coach. It's just very limiting. Okay, a couple other questions that came through live. What are the common legal requirements to start a coaching business? Legal requirements are basically just any requirements of any business. You may want to get a DBA, a doing business as fictitious business name in your state. You may want to incorporate. You don't have to. You can be a sole proprietor. It's totally fine to do it. I did get a DBA when I first started because I had a coaching business account that was connected with my merchant account. I only did that because I needed my merchant account, though. So bottom line is, whatever it takes to get that merchant account, I would probably just do that and worry about the legalities once I'm actually coaching. Once again, that's not legal advice, or I think this is the first time I said this webinar. I tend to say this when people are asking about legal stuff, but this is not legal advice. Consult a lawyer, consult a lawyer, consult a lawyer. But my opinion on this matter is that there's really not much in terms of legal requirements. Just, don't hurt people, and and take responsibility and do everything above board and be honest, and don't cheat anybody out of any money. And I think you're going to be pretty darn safe for quite a while until you get a pretty darn big coaching business. Okay, Amy asks, is the course self-paced and can you take as long as you need to complete the entire course and certification? Yes. The virtual program, the new program that we have available where you don't need to actually be on site with us, is self-paced, and you can take as long as you need to complete that entire course and get certified. Now, of course, if you're going to see us in San Diego or in Orlando, it's got a certain pace to it, right? It's got to start at a beginning, middle, and an end. And so you'll be kind of going along with us in that pace. But yeah, if you do it, if you're not going to be there on site with us, then you can go at your own pace, no doubt about it. And we have a process that we put together and a testing process to make sure that you get the same learnings and results, the same or better, as those who attended the on-site trainings that we have in those locations as well. Okay, I am from Puerto Vallarta. Is there any problem with me doing the program? I think that's the question. Shouldn't be. You should be fine as long as you can as long as you have access to the internet and a phone, then you can do any of our programs, really. And obviously, I'd love to see you here in the States on site, but if you can't make it, you can get the same results and get certified through our trainings as well. Okay, and yeah, the DVD course is self-paced, Amy, but the certification training is also the virtual one is self-paced as well. Okay, any other questions? Feel free to ask them now. I'm just going to see, I'm going to go back and see if I missed any, and then I'll go to the questions that were asked on the blog. People are asking about the replay. I just talked about how to get the replay. Okay, do you recommend hiring consultants in marketing or other areas? That's a good question. First, I recommend learning what you need to learn and doing it yourself, because consultants have a tendency, even if they don't know what they're doing, to act like it so as to get your business, and they really don't take any responsibility for your results. So you end up shelling out money by, like we talked about with Melissa, like investing in your circumstances, investing in someone else's expertise rather than your own, and then you end up just losing money and not getting the result. You know, there are exceptions to that. There's no doubt. But what I highly recommend is training, learning, and getting the knowledge, and then getting out there and doing it yourself as a small business owner. A great small business owner they kind of figure everything out themselves to some extent, and do it all themselves at least once or twice, even if they're not the best at it. So at least they know what they don't know. They know how to hire someone else to do it. Then they know how to vet a consultant. Like if I was going to work with a marketing agency or a marketing consultant, I'm going to know just as well as they do what they need to do. And so if they come to me and start talking about, you know, a bunch of stuff that doesn't work, I know it doesn't work, and I know they're not the right consultant. So you just better know how to hire those people, and the way to do that is just, you know, you can learn from us. You can go somewhere else if you choose to, but get the knowledge and get trained, and then go and then just use that stuff as best you can yourself at first. It doesn't have to be perfect, but once you get a little experience under your belt, then that's the point where you can start deciding, what am I gonna delegate? You know, what am I gonna hire someone else's expertise for? You know, and there are exceptions to that, but not very many in my experience in my own coaching business. All right. Okay, is there a free way to create a squeeze page? You could, I mean, Portia, what you could do is you could steal a template and then do your own HTML programming and upload it to your server. It's not impossible. I've never personally done it. I just never had a need to. But if I had to, I could probably figure out how to do it in a couple hours. So if you're willing to put the sweat equity in, yeah, there's free ways to create squeeze pages. The real investment you make in a squeeze page is writing the messaging, which no coach I've ever met knows how to do that. Really no person I've ever met knows how to do that unless they're already a professional marketer. And that's exactly what we teach you how to do in the DVD course and the Internet Client Machine Retreat, how to write the copy, how to create the messaging so that you actually get a result. Posting the squeeze page on the internet is really not that hard nowadays. There's tools that are very inexpensive that you can use to do that with. And the real tricky part is knowing how to communicate with your prospective customers. That is something that's very rare. And once you have that ability, you're free. I mean, the world is just a bunch of exciting opportunities once you understand how to communicate through marketing channels like the internet and direct mail and phone and things like that. And that's exactly what you'll learn with us. Okay, just go back here. Can you issue we just talked about that. Talked about PayPal. Okay, I think I'm catching up now. All right. And okay, it looks like those are all the questions from the chat. I've got a couple more questions, and then I'm going to get off of this webinar so that anybody who is in the ballpark of calling me will still have time before they pass out to do so. So on the blog, Janine asks, I'm afraid that the Quick Start program is just a quick fix that people, just for people that just want to make money fast. Okay. So Janine, here's the thing about the Quick Start program. It is kind of a quick fix. Most coaches need to make money doing this. And the quicker you start, the quicker everything else shows up, including money. And that's just the reality. Now, look, there's no such thing as a quick fix in the same breath. I mean, if you're looking for that, don't even bother to start. But if you're serious, there's nothing wrong with starting now rather than later, with starting quickly rather than slowly. In fact, it's better. It's like pulling the Band-Aid off fast rather than, excruciatingly over a period of years. That's why we do the Quick Start over a period of literally 30 days. Let's see. Also, Janine, the biggest problem that people have, it's not about starting quickly. It's just never starting at all. Or it's that they take so long that they never get where they actually want to go. Okay, Janine goes on to ask, I wanted to find the difference between being limited by my own fears and delaying my interest in becoming a coach and not taking action versus finding the most beneficial program for me to aid me in achieving my highest potential. Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you've got a good sense of what you're trying to weigh. Here's the problem. The problem is people want to use a product or even a training as a shortcut. So if you're going to screw around and do nothing, then you're always going to be disappointed. You're going to be disappointed in yourself and the product, no matter who you work with. Look, if you're going to work, if you're actually put the work in, whether or not you work with me, you're going to be happy. And now, we can speed up the learning process. But you're the ultimate source of your success or failure. There's no doubt about that. Okay, and finally, Janine asks, is the Quick Start program really beneficial for someone who has no training in coaching? Or is it more designed for people like yourself who have read a lot of books and who have already dabbling in coaching and trying it on others, or in a business setting? I'm not sure I understand the end of that. So here's the answer to that, Janine. The Quick Start program, the bonus that's in this premium package, it starts from square one. If you've never coached a day in your life and don't know anything about it, that is exactly where we start in the Quick Start program. Okay. Let's see. Last question that was put on the blog. Sean asks, my biggest fear about starting my business is the ability to convert potential leads into paying customers. I feel that my sales and marketing strategy needs development and also my copywriting. So, okay, Sean, you're probably right. It probably could use some work. But that's a good thing to know. So you want to work on that. But let's talk about converting potential clients to clients for a second. Conversion is or making a sale, if you want to call it that, enrollments. It's a simple matter of two goals. I'm actually going to write this down. Let me get out of I want to end the webinar. Hold on. Make sure I get this right. Let's get out of that and go to somewhere I've got. Here we go. Actually, okay. So conversion, or again, enrollments, is a matter of two things. Two goals, if you will. Let's just call these goals. The first goal is a value goal. And the value goal is your goal to create enough value for your customer. That's it. If there's no value for them, then they're not even going to let you coach them, even for free, because it's a waste of their time. So it's just a matter of figuring out what your customer wants and then going and getting it for them in the form that they want it. So you're kind of asking a question of your customer. It's like, what do you want? And then it's your job, this is you, I'm sure you're better looking, but this is you, it's to find it, whatever that little present is, and go and bring it to them in the exact form that they wanted it. That's it. That is the value goal. And if you can do that, or you can figure that out and then offer it, then you're gonna hit the value lever. The second goal that'll actually generate enrollment. These are two goals you must achieve in order to generate any enrollments. And this is the price goal. The price goal is a matter of figuring out what most of your best clients will pay for the value that you established in the value goal. So this value, whatever this is, what will they pay for that? That's the price goal, is figuring out what most people will pay for that and actually charging that. And by the way, the simple strategy for this is just to start low enough so it's comfortable for you to ask for it. So you might actually be charging less than what this is actually worth, but that's okay. Just charge something, and then you can always increase your prices over time. And if, this can get more complicated as you grow, of course, and we can really get fancy about pricing strategies, but just ask for what you're comfortable for right now. So if you can achieve the value goal, you get something that's valuable for that client, and then charge something that they're willing to pay and make it worth your while, then you're all these two processes, that equals, I was going to say enrollments. Let's say this different. That equals paying clients. That equals paying clients. I know somewhere there should be an I in there. Anyway, there, that looks a little bit more like paying clients. All right, so that equals paying clients. That's it. Okay, Sean also had one more question here. See, the most important thing for me to know about setting up my online business is how do I attract paying customers regularly? So basically, just like we said, I guess this is kind of a redundant question. Attracting customers is a matter of communicating that value. You can't just have the value, you've got to also communicate it. You've got to communicate that value to as many of those customers as possible. You got to go to as many of these guys as possible and communicate that value in a compelling way. And then you just got to create a relationship with them. You just got to connect with them. And chances are you know how to do that already. This is the equation that most coaches miss out on. And selecting a niche can help with this, but you're probably not going to start out that way. So this process it's not complex, it's not impossible, but it does generally take some time. So you're simply committed, or if you're committed to take the time that's demanded to make this work, you'll come out on top. You're going to be in great shape. Okay, that was all the questions that were on the blog that I found, at least. There might be more now. And that finally concludes how to start an online coaching business. I hope you got a lot from tonight, and I look forward to working with you soon. Again, just one more time, I'll just really quick go back to, if you do want to get in touch with me, whoops, I hit the wrong button. If you do want to get in touch with me, that is my number. You're going to want to call me right now because I'm going to hit the hay very, very soon. And like I said, I can get you rolling right away. Even for the payment program, we'll give you the DVD set and the paid in full bonuses like we talked about tonight. So take care. Hope that we have a chance to work together in certification training. And even if not, I hope our paths cross again soon, and I hope that you have a chance to share some of the things that you got from this webinar tonight. And no matter what, you have the opportunity to change lives, to make a difference for people, and to change the world in a small or even a big way. It's just a matter of having the energy, the time, like we talked about tonight, the belief, and then the training and the knowledge and the strategies that we can provide you to make that happen. You have that opportunity. But this is a now opportunity for most of us, and especially if you're going to be in the certification training, we can't wait for you to get on board. Either get involved when we actually open registration before we fill up, or you can give me a call now, 858-707-5920, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Take care until then.